It's 11:45. Let's go.
Looks a little spooky, boys. You think we should do this?
What are we going to do, Mark?
Ghosts.
Scary.
Monsters.
Scary.
Welcome to the Waxwork.
Something has gone wrong.
Wow, the glasses from Nutty Zombies from Hell.
It is one of the greatest privileges ever to be chosen as a time warrior.
What the hell did you kill him for?
Take him to the dungeon.
An exhibit in fear.
Well, the Loch Ness Monster kind of ate it.
Sarah and you have actually stumbled into God's Nintendo game.
One they call the Master is no mortal. He is the devil himself.
If we don't find some evidence, you're gonna rot in jail.
A place that appeals to your deepest and darkest fantasies.
You have inherited your grandfather's and my collection of strange artifacts.
Does the burning down of the Wax Museum have any bearing on whether the accused killed her stepfather or not?
Stop it!
Whatever you do, don't step over the rope. Dimension in terror. Waxwork.
You ain't seen nothing yet.
Yes, y'all, it's going down right now. Episode 289 of the 22 Shots of Moodz and Horror podcast is coming at you live and direct with the homie JP, also known as the Mexicans. And of course, we got Tyler, also known as Mr. Saucedo. And I'll be your host from the foreign land of Canada, the toxic offender, Moodz. Yeah. What's going on, my dudes?
I feel like you guys are practically live in my house at this point. I see you every fucking day.
Yeah, this has been a lot of recording, man. But we've already recorded for over 12 and a half, maybe 13 hours this week.
I think longer than that, because we had 7.5 on Monday, Tuesday. And oh no, never mind, you're right.
Well, if you want to talk about like actual playback time, so that March Madness show was 7:38.
Yeah.
Sinbin was 4:40 or something like that. So I mean, yeah, just do the math. That's a lot.
Yeah, I was counting this show too in my head for some reason already. So that's why.
Yeah, so we're feeling the ill effects, man. Nobody has ever said, "Oh yeah, podcasting's hard work," until right now.
Yeah, it was one of those things where it just this week ended up being a lot of recording. But you know, at least everything was fun. You know.
Yeah. So, on that note, man, if you haven't checked out the March Madness show, feel free to click on it, man. It's 7.5 hours of pretty good battles and conversation. The wife had a good point, actually. She's like, maybe people aren't checking it out because they think it's a show about sports. And I was like, holy shit, I never thought that.
I thought of that too. That like people might think that it's a sports thing. But hopefully anybody listening to this show that might have thought that knows that it is. I don't even think we talked about sports on that show at all.
No, we didn't.
I think we got right to it. Yeah.
No, I mean, the intro was, it was definitely a shorter intro for us, but I don't think there was any sports talk in that one. No polish hits, no sports. So it was
there was just
pure unadulterated
about GameStop and you bitching about something.
Oh, I think I talked about Trick or Treat for like 10 minutes when I was doing the show notes. I was like, I talked about Trick or Treat that long? What the fuck? I did a full review and I just wanted to talk about how it doesn't make any sense. But yeah, no, if you haven't listened to the Let the Right One In OG versus Remake show, definitely check that out. It's doing really poorly. And I know those aren't like everyone's favorite type of shows, but I thought the conversation was really good.
Yeah, I think that was one of our like better reviews in a while, like just in terms of like deep diving.
Yeah. Yeah, it was nice to like kind of flush out some things within the narrative in the original one too and stuff. So things that were noted, but like, you know, if you don't really do the full research on it, or if you're not familiar with the book, the source material, watching the movie, you might just be like, okay, you know, it there's certain things that could be implied, but you still kind of have to read between the lines on them and stuff like that. So, but yeah, no, there was some really good pointers that JP brought up and stuff like that. And it just led to good conversation. Like, it's a really brilliant film. And I think that even the conversation, which I didn't think was going to be that great on the remake, actually turned into a better conversation because the first movie was so good. It was good to compare them and talk about, you know, American dumbed down remakes and stuff like that. It worked out really well for me. I really enjoyed that show.
We also I'm surprised we haven't got much hate for our bracket so far, but I assume people are still plugging away at it. It is a long ass show.
There has been a couple people that obviously made it to the end and said, you know what, the end or the way it went makes sense because of the way the brackets broke down. Like, there was some really tough matches where some really kind of like very, you know, top shelf directors either made it through or didn't because they were faced off against, you know, another one. And sometimes pathway in bracket type things can make all the difference. And I'm not saying this is the case, but it kind of helps, though. It really does. But so, I mean, there was a couple of comments even on Instagram and stuff, and like, they understand the way it went. They really do. So, but you're right, though. Not a lot of hate. I'm quite surprised about that. The only hate that we've really got on this show recently is because some people thought that we were talking about politics when we actually weren't talking about politics, but makes sense. I don't want to hear that shit either. So, but
I saw some guy was like, "Fuck Adam Wingard." Yeah, that made me laugh.
Yeah, it seems like seems like people liked your ranting on that.
It seems like everybody must hate him for the whole Death Note thing.
I like, at minimum, if you've seen Death Note and you've seen like that movie, like, you despise the movie.
Yeah, I remember when Death Note came out and people were just furious. Like, that was at a time where I was doing Netflix and Chill podcast with Carly, so we were really like paying attention to like streaming stuff. And I remember, like, we didn't even cover it because there were so many people that were just like, it's a complete waste of time.
You know, for me, I wouldn't even know the difference because I'm not familiar with any of the source material or if there is any other movies or whatever it may be. So if I watched it, I would just kind of take it for that face value.
Yeah, I wouldn't know any different. That's exactly my beef with it, because I think most people will just do that and be like, oh, okay, that's what that is. And that's not what that is, actually. I mean, basically, like, to just like be at the most bird's eye view, like, the original main character is this like very like complicated, like morally like complex, like genius kid, and the whole show is basically like this like intense like chess mask, because this intense like metaphorical chess match. And then in the Netflix adaptation, they make the kid like a whiny little sad boy that'll do anything for like a crumb of a chance at like a crumb of pussy. So like, right, so they just completely like changed the dynamic of what made like the series good. That you just hate it from the start because you hate like the interpretation of the kid.
Like, and you see that a lot with anime specifically, but like, I understand the concept of being very like familiar and into something, and then the people who make it just have no idea what made it special in the first place. Like, and we saw that with The Last Airbender. Like, people are very passionate about that show. And when Shyamalan did his version, like, it just like did, I guess from what people said, it didn't capture what the show was. And like I said, I felt that way with like Dragon Ball as well, because that show was big. I loved Dragon Ball like growing up, you know. And I just, to me, it's like, if you have a story that already exists, you shouldn't fail in an adaptation, because it's like, it's half done for you. You just literally have to like get casting right, and you know. Like, I do understand. Why are you taking so much liberty with the story?
Yeah, like, I do understand they're condensing like 15 hours down to like 2 hours, but it's just a complete like 180 from like what like the show was even about, like, other than like plot points.
Yeah.
Yeah, I always find that that's what works so well for like the DC animated movies and like the whole animated movie universe films and stuff like that. It's like their own stories. Like we know these characters and stuff, but like they've come up with their own, type of stories and shit like that. And man, I love those fucking things, man. They're just amazing. But
yeah, but a lot of those are based on arcs in the comic. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, but to a point, right? There's certain angles and stuff that they are, but then they do come up with like completely original stories and shit like that too. That I think are pretty interesting. So
yeah,
and they're violent as fuck too, which really helps out. And yeah, they're just fun as hell, man. I love these things. I like the one with the Ninja Turtles, man. That shit was awesome.
Yeah, Ninja Turtles are dope.
That was a good one. Oh, yeah. So I noticed that Tony piped up and he said that he watched the Popeye movie, and he said it was actually pretty good. I was like, shit. So what is it actually called? Popeye the Slayer Man?
Yeah.
Man, he looks dope in this though, man. I actually like the look of this. So I got that queued up for tonight. I think I'm going to watch that.
I gotta watch some 59ers. I'm just, if I don't start like chugging along on those, I'm going to be in a bad spot.
Well, that's what
I got lucky when we did the last time, whatever the retro year was, 36, I think. I was traveling a lot, and like all of them were just on YouTube, so I was just like banging them out on my iPad like when I was traveling.
Yeah, it was 30, or was it 36 or was it 41? I can't even remember which one was the one previous. It was one of the two.
It was 36 was the last one.
But there was such little prep for those anyways. Like you could probably wait a little bit longer, but this one, I mean, you can still watch between 40 and 45 movies. Like,
if I had 40, I'm happy.
Yeah, I'm going to end up with like, I think 42 or 43, something like, I mean, it's a pretty modest number, really. I mean, comparatively to other years that we do prep for, but it's kind of what it is, though. There's not really a lot of other movies even to watch. Like, that's kind of everything. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah, there's one movie I think I'm going to check out. I forgot what it's called. One on the list. It's only like 90 minutes long, but the guy who did it did a horror movie like a year or two removed from this, and it kind of sounds like maybe a horror thriller, so I'm going to check that one out. Yeah, what's it called?
Yeah, okay.
One on my list right now. It's one of those that like it might not be a horror movie, but I'm going to give it a swing. It's called Night Train.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I don't really know that one. I find it so intriguing that there's two movies from the same year called The Ghost of Yotsuya.
Yeah, I know it's not like it's like a title that would be
and like
passed around.
So is like the one even worth watching?
The one that Radiance put out. Honestly, dude, that
I watched the Criterion one.
It focuses more on like the husband and like because there's like a whole section of that film where he actually like moves out to the city and stuff, and it takes that whole part of the story. Where in the other one, they don't have that there. The second one that we watched, I can't remember the director, focuses way more on the horror, and I feel like it's more tightly knitted and edited.
What's his name? It's like Nabu.
Yeah.
So the Criterion one is the good one.
Yeah, it's the guy that made Jigoku. Is the guy that directed it.
Oh, did Criterion put out a version of the good one?
No, but it's like they have the rights for it.
Oh, okay, yeah.
You can stream it on Criterion.
Right.
Yeah, I did a week free trial of the Criterion channel to watch that. Fucking, of course, I forgot to cancel it, so I got charged $12 to.
Yeah, but now that you've seen it, isn't that like a pretty cool streaming service? Like it's way deeper than you would think. Like they have a really deep catalog on there.
The only thing I don't like about it is the navigation.
Yeah, the navigation definitely could use some work. I would agree with that.
There's a lot of good stuff on there for sure.
What I think that's really cool about it too is they put a lot of their special features on there too, so you can like just like watch a movie and then watch like the special features on there as well. That you would get from buying the Blu-ray.
That's kind of a cool feature.
Yeah, and when you're subscribed to them, when they have their flash sales twice a year, they'll send you a reminder that there's a flash sale going on tomorrow, and they'll send you a $10 coupon for it, and they'll usually also send one on your birthday and for Christmas. So like it's like $12.99 a month or something, and then you throughout the year you should get 4 $10 gift cards back on
your birthday. Yeah. But yeah, no, I mean so the Criterion one definitely is the way better one. I was actually pretty disappointed with the one that Radiance released. Just narrative wise, like I feel like it's way less horror, but it kind of gets boring at times. Like all the elements are still there, like the core narrative is still there. It's just a little bit more stretched out, focuses a little bit more on, you know, the husband and stuff, where this one kind of gets to the nitty gritty and feels more or less like a darker, you know, / kind of horror film throughout the whole thing. It just has that impending doom. It has that kind of atmosphere and tone to the film where the other one doesn't really have that until like kind of the end, you know? So
yeah. I'm definitely still gonna check one out. I got that set.
Mm-hmm.
So
I still need to check out the other two movies, but
I've only watched The Snow Woman.
Yeah, I mean that's the one I really wanted from the set.
That one was pretty good. I don't know if it's better than the short from Quieten, but they're pretty comparable.
I've heard that it's not, but it's still
It's
very
just
comparable.
the thing. It's like it looks really good, but like the Quieten short is just so visually like stunning that it's kind of hard to compete with it. I don't know, maybe it makes it a little worse because I've already seen it.
Mm-hmm.
But also it's like the guy that made, like, this is like a little movie. The guy that made Quieten is like an all-time GOAT director in Japan. Like he made some of the most insane movies from Japan of all time, and it's also was the most expensive. Quieten was the most expensive Japanese movie at the time when it came out ever made. So it's kind of hard to compete with that. That might be the best short from it too.
Mm-hmm.
Did you guys see that there's some rumbling about a new chainsaw?
Yeah, I was flipping through Bloody Disgusting last night, and I was shocked to see that that there might be new installments, and it was pluralized. So I thought that was interesting. It doesn't say new movie or installment; it says installments. So obviously something's rumbling. Maybe like what do you think they're going to do? Are they going to continue with the storyline from the new film?
No, I don't think so.
So
judging by the people involved, I don't think they're going to. So so
they're not going to reboot, like they're not going to remake Chainsaw, or like what do you do with it? Because I don't want to see another adaptation. I mean, the remake in the 2000s was fine, but this Chainsaw thing is all over the fucking place. We got so many prequels, we got so many sub sequels and all this type of shit that's going on. But what do you do?
I wouldn't be surprised if we see like just another Chainsaw that's not like marketed as a reboot or anything. But like, I think right now in particular, the like remake trend is like sort of has negative connotations. So I don't think anybody really any studios really like doing remakes right now, especially for films that have already had remakes.
Right.
But like, I could see them just sort of.
Yeah, you know what killed that? You know what killed that was remaking Black Christmas a second time and not really making a movie out of it, because that's like one of the worst things I've ever seen in my life.
I don't even think people really even like. I don't think that was even popular. I bet most people didn't even know that was a remake.
Dude.
Yeah, I kind of don't put that sort of.
That's like exactly how you don't fucking make a movie. You want to make a movie with commentary? Holy fuck! Just watch that movie and do the polar opposite. Don't do anything that movie did. But I feel like you're right though. Like, I mean, ever since that second Black Christmas remake came out, like there hasn't really been another remake of a remake kind of thing, you know?
Yeah, and also like, I just think when it comes to like the big properties, I think that everybody kind of, sees the idea of like a remake, like, okay, look at Evil Dead, right? Evil Dead Rise. Like that was just another Evil Dead movie, essentially. You know what I mean? It wasn't like a direct sequel to the 13 one. It wasn't really a sequel to the originals. It was kind of just its own thing. I kind of see that being the next Chainsaw if I was going to guess.
I feel like Evil Dead Rise was kind of like what Evil Dead 2 was to Evil Dead. Like it was kind of a remake of the first movie. And then you could almost say the same thing about Evil Dead Rise. Like it generally has the same kind of premise to it, different location, same ideas and stuff like that, but it's its own thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
the actual article, so this is very early stages. It's just sort of rumblings essentially.
Yeah.
But essentially the company that owns the chainsaw franchise is Verve, and they have had chainsaw since 2017. So I guess that would have been during the production of the newest chainsaw that ended up on Netflix.
Yeah.
So outlets have basically attached the guy who directed Strange Darling, JT Molyneux, to the project. So apparently he's showing some interest, which would actually probably be a good director choice. There's almost even like shades of like sort of like a road horror, like exploitation-y type thing with Strange Darling. So that could be a good one. And then they said that the Lionsgate and A24 are the studios that are interested in the IP.
Yeah.
What the hell does an A24 chainsaw look like?
I don't know. I mean, like, both is not exciting because, like, honestly, Lionsgate, like nowadays,
wants to make money.
I feel like Lionsgate doesn't really put any effort into like a lot of the newer horror films that they do. Like, I don't know. I don't know if this is the greatest
A24 horror. Yeah, A24 horror doesn't like mean anything special anymore to me. I think it really kind of opened up. Yeah. Think about.
I feel like they open up a bit, but I still feel like they're putting out the same type of movies that they always have.
They had like Talk to Me. They had
the Talk to Me was dope.
I don't think it was bad, but I don't think it's like this. I think it's kind of just. If you would have said it came out from Blumhouse, I'd be like, yeah, that's
no fucking way. It was too dark to be Blumhouse.
Nah, I wouldn't say that.
Blumhouse always skirts around like the darkest of shit.
They also, not necessarily, I don't think. But anyway, they also did The Front Room last year, which I thought wasn't really anything.
Yeah, I mean, they're definitely expanding, but I still think Y2K, right? Yeah, did they? Was that them?
Yeah.
Yeah, they did that. They did that.
Yeah, that one felt a little bit more poppy.
I think there was one. Oh, and they did Hereditary, too. Not Hereditary, Heretic.
See, that one feels a little bit more A24.
That feels like towards like the middle of it though, but it's like it doesn't feel to me like they're doing like that.
But they did I Saw the TV Glow, didn't they?
Yeah, well, that's more of maybe a classic one from them. But overall,
and everyone's favorite Maxine.
Oh yeah, they did Maxine too, which is just like it's kind of Definitely, they're definitely opening.
I mean, their films are kind of.
I'm not criticizing them for it. Like, I think it might have just been a coincidence that they just ended up with like these directors that wanted to make movies. I guess to like the more like dramatic end at first.
I mean, A20. I mean, I could see A24 doing a competent job, but I just don't trust Lionsgate anymore. They went through so many stages.
I can't remember what Lionsgate's really been doing lately.
Well, I mean, like the whole 2000s period, like they pretty much everything that they produced, I swear, was like straight to video kind of low budget shit and stuff. They were really on a tear with that type of shit. It was all throwaway films.
I mean, I guess it kind of makes sense for Lionsgate to want back in the chainsaw game because they did Leatherface and I think the one before that, right?
It's just like
they definitely did. They did do Leatherface, didn't they? Right.
Yeah.
Chainsaw the game's just gonna make money.
Oh, the Chainsaw 3D
studios.
Did they do 3D?
Interested in that.
They thought they did, but I wasn't.
They might. It feels like a Lionsgate movie from that era.
3D was such a mess.
Yeah, that heel turn out. I remember
from the start of the movie, man.
That in the theater when she does the heel turn at the end. She's like, "Get him, cuz."
They did the Crow.
Oh my god, dude.
They did do the Crow.
I didn't go to see it.
I didn't see it, but I heard it was bad.
I haven't heard a person say a single nice thing about that movie.
Me either. Everyone I know that have seen that movie said it was really bad.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, I know.
Yeah, they did do Chainsaw 3D. So they did Chainsaw 3D and essentially
Leatherface.
Leatherface, yeah.
Which, of course, that's another one that kind of divides the crowds. I think it's really good. I always even said too, like, I liked the story of Leatherface, and I felt like there could have been 2 more movies, because Leatherface is obviously a prequel to the original Chainsaw, but I feel like they could have even expanded that story the way they left it off, and you could have probably made 2 more movies leading into the original Chainsaw and made like a trilogy of prequels. In my opinion, I think there was enough there that you could have done something anyways. Because I would like to follow the journey of Leatherface.
That's the problem with the entire Chainsaw franchise, though, is they never fucking stick to anything.
Yeah, but wouldn't it have been a cool idea to like really explore and expand the world of Leatherface leading into the original Chainsaw, like exactly how he like progressed into what he was, and just like the forming of the family, just get everything all going. And then you got I think it would have been fucking cool, because at this point, what else do you really need or want from a Chainsaw film?
What I want from a Chainsaw film, like personally, is I just want like an isolated like farmhouse setting with an interesting family. Like that's what I like about Chainsaw, is the weird
the isolation.
Yeah, like the isolated horror film that is like a slasher-esque, but also just interesting family members. Because my favorite Chainsaws always have like the coolest family members. Now, I did like Leatherface for just being different. Is like more of like a Rob Zombie-esque type, like Devil's Rejects, like road horror film. And I did like that about it. And it did add some like freshness to the formula. But when I think of like my favorite Chainsaws, like 1, 2, and the 2 remakes, like I'm like, yo, like the thing that all those have in common is great family members, because that's what Chainsaw is mainly about. And the Netflix one didn't really have that aspect to it. And the 3D one didn't really have that aspect to it either. Like the family, it's not just like Leatherface is probably like my least favorite character in like the Chainsaw movies. Like he's cool, but like, Drayton and Chop Top and the Hitchhiker and Sheriff Hoyt and the tea lady and Monty with the missing legs and stuff, and Mother, like and Grandpa, like those are my favorite like things about the Chainsaw movies. Even when you go to part 3 and stuff, you have all those weird ass people.
I feel like that's what they would probably do with like a new Chainsaw film, is maybe do like a descendant one, like relatives, descendants.
Oh, that's that's the thing.
Like modernize it. Like, so this is a way of doing a new Chainsaw film without like remaking Chainsaw. You take the idea of descendants, and then this is your new family. Like these guys are obviously relatives to a bunch of the original characters throughout the original franchises and stuff. And you do the same thing. You isolate it, you make it a Chainsaw film, but it's just a newer crowd, newer family, maybe with some older throwback characters, but at least it would be a fresh take on what the narrative could be, like what they're actually doing and stuff, without full-blown remaking it, because at this point it's kind of tough. It's so messy. There's so many open holes. There's so many things you could throw in there. Hell,
we haven't had a Chainsaw film in like the sort of isolated like fair, like we haven't, I guess since the beginning would be like the last one like that, in my opinion. I don't know. Like I think I would want to just see something familiar. Maybe I would prefer if it was like, because I don't have faith that because different studios own different character rights and stuff like that. So at this point, I think I would honestly prefer if they just did a follow up to the first Chainsaw, but set it in like 1979 or something like that.
Right.
I think the whole legacy sequel thing makes sense. You can just set it with a new family.
Yeah, just.
I mean, 79 is only 5 years removed from the original Chainsaw family. You could really actually just have them in there.
Yeah, but I think they would want to modernize it. I think you're right about that. Too.
You can have more family members, because if there's one thing we know about Chainsaw, they have a fucking big ass family.
Yeah, because it's it's the stereotype, right, of rednecks and hillbillies. They just breed like rabbits, right?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
But I mean, I honestly truly think like if Lionsgate
works better set in the past than it does.
Yeah, I mean, I agree.
I think they definitely would want to modernize it to appeal to like teenagers.
I think especially with A24, like they seem to have this notion that horror films are all modern, right? Like they don't really do period pieces. They don't do throwback shit and stuff. Like, so if A24 was producing a new film, I could see them doing it modernized and probably like a Descendant thing, obviously, because let's face it, it's been like 50 fucking years. Everyone's dead now.
Yeah.
So like you couldn't even bring those characters.
Well, that's also the problem of like setting it in modern time, but making it a sequel is like Leatherface is like 80. You know what I mean?
Well, that's what I'm saying. That's why you do Descendants and you create new characters, right? Like you can still have notable
to have Leatherface, right? Like
you can have somebody, you can have Leatherface, but it's not the Leatherface. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think maybe Leatherface put his wiener in something and had a baby or something. Who knows? You don't fucking know. You could write it like there could be a new Leatherface. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
But I just, like I said, like with Lionsgate, I mean, I could see them doing the throwback. I mean, they're possible. They're definitely more capable of doing that than I think that A24, but I don't know. A24 is just
A24 has done some periods. I have done some periods because you had the whole X trilogy.
Which
the Witch was Nosferatu. A24. Or was that someone else?
I don't think it was A24.
The Lighthouse. A24.
Oh yeah, that is A24. Holy shit! I didn't even think of that. Yeah, I guess they have done some, but I mean, most of their films are pretty modern. Right.
Yeah, for the most part. But I can't think of.
I wasn't even thinking the X trilogy. Fuck me. Totally.
Yeah. I know you don't. That's not something that registers as like as a period piece.
I actually always forget that those movies were done by A24.
Yeah.
It never even occurs to me that they are. I just think of like the other ones, but yeah, interesting.
That's what I mean. Like A24 is like really branched out on like the type of horror movies they do. Like they're obviously still aiming for quality, have higher quality control than like say Blumhouse, but just like the type of movie they're doing, I don't think it's like.
I don't know, man. I feel like they've always just done like the big ones, but I mean even like in their early days, like Green Room. Like Green Room's not really like a,
that's what I mean.
Tusk. You know what I mean? Like they've
Tusk
always
really
done. Like
I think they just aim to like do like good independent movies, but I wouldn't really call them an independent studio anymore.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know what is considered an independent studio versus not when you talk about these things, because for the longest time, an independent studio was any studio outside of the big six, I think it was at the time. But now it's like everything's so mixed and matched, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like
it's just I start to think we're losing the plot when like all these quote unquote indie movies are getting nominated for Oscars and stuff, and they're like several $1 million movies with Hollywood actresses made like within like and the same connected and backed by Hollywood. Like just because it's from A24 doesn't suddenly mean it's independent. Like, come on.
Man, actually when I look at Blumhouse's like filmography, man, they are modern as fuck. Like they don't do any period pieces, man. Like everything is modernized, man. Everything.
They're really modern because they have a lot of the technology horrors, like the Unfriended films, the Missing movie. I think those are all Blumhouse, right?
Yeah. I think Blumhouse is like the studio that makes movies for teens these days.
Yeah, that's definitely
they're going out of their way to modernize things because they're redoing like all the Universal films, of course, and they've done lots of remakes. Right, of course, they the new Halloween films, like they're just modernizing a lot of older films. They were responsible, I think. Didn't they do the fucking Martyrs remake too?
Did they?
Yeah, so like I'm telling you, man, like they're just bringing their own.
They didn't go theatrical if it did.
No. But like,
I don't think it was them, honestly.
Yeah, I think all their movies go theatrical. That's why I don't think it was them.
So Martyrs is
not all of them. They definitely have some direct to streaming stuff.
So Martyrs actually is on here. It's crazy.
Yeah, it is. Temple Hill Entertainment, Blumhouse Productions, the Saffron Company.
I mean, sequels and remakes, like they've done a lot of them, man. And of course, they've done their own too. Of course, they created the Insidious franchise and they created Paranormal Activity, which, there's tons of those type of movies. But they also did The Town That Dreaded Sundown sequel. A lot of people get that confused. It's not a fucking remake. It literally starts it's just like a elongated sequel, right? It like takes place in modern times, but it's actually a sequel to the original story. It's not a remake.
That's their fault for titling it the same thing.
Yeah, I know it is pretty fucking stupid. You know
it's like The Thing, right?
Yeah,
like to this day, people still call The Thing a remake.
Yeah,
yeah. The Thing. It's probably just the same effects, just with the Town That Dreaded Sundown. Like the average person who would just watch a random movie has no idea what the Town That Dreaded Sundown is. So if they see the Town That Dreaded Sundown 2 or something, they're going to be like, oh,
yeah, people aren't going to watch it because they're not going to know that it's.
And Blumhouse did The Bay,
and like you could oh yeah, that's right.
Crazy.
You could totally watch the Town That Dreaded Sundown remake without watching the original.
Oh, of course. It definitely stands on its own. Like you don't need to watch the original one. To watch the sequel, of course, but in fact, I actually like the Town That Dreaded Sundown sequel is actually a little bit more fun for me because it doesn't have that like goofy tone to it and stuff.
Yeah,
it's a lot more serious. But yeah, they also did the Purge movies, so they've created a ton of different franchises, man. Fuck.
Oh yeah,
Blumhouse is fucking nuts with their franchises, man. It's crazy. And sequels, holy shit.
Trying to make that bread.
They really do a lot of fucking sequels, man, and remake. Holy shit. It's just wild going through this filmography, man. It's crazy. Like they produced the Ouija Origin of Evil film from Planet.
They did the Smile movies too, right? Or was that
is it Blumhouse? I can't remember.
No, I don't think so. I don't think that they did.
As long as Blumhouse doesn't end up with Chainsaw, I'll be okay.
Because
it was not them.
They just started another franchise.
Yeah, it was not them. I was honestly thinking too, like Smile 2 seems almost like too well produced to be a Blumhouse movie.
Dude. They are like The Exorcist fucking sequel Believer. Oh my god! And then of course they're starting another
the Halloween movies.
They completely shifted gears on that Exorcist series, though.
Yeah, that thing got panned.
Like they're gonna put out a bunch of Five Nights at Freddy's movies, Megan. Like they're just they're gonna be the kings of fucking franchises here, man. It's nuts.
They've been for like the last decade, dude.
Well, I'm just saying, you're putting even more out. Like I know it's just wild, man.
Make that bread.
Firestarter
remake.
I
just don't want Chainsaw to go to Blumhouse, or I don't want Blumhouse touching Friday either, or fucking Elm Street.
It is pretty interesting, like going through their filmography, which is a ton of fucking movies, man. It's more misses. It's way more misses than hits for me. But they do have some good ones. Like there is some really notable good films, but man, there's a lot of bad ones in here. Like a lot of bad ones.
Yeah.
It's pretty crazy. Yeah, they did the Green Inferno. It's still bizarre to me.
Yeah, that doesn't seem like a Blumhouse movie. I'm surprised.
Well, Green Inferno was not a Blumhouse movie. They just distributed it.
Yeah, distributed. Okay.
Oh, okay, because that's one of the distributed ones.
Remember the original studio that produced the Green Inferno went like belly up, and
right.
It was like stuck in
limbo. I remember for a while. I remember that. That's right.
I thought maybe Blum
came out, and we're like, we went in for this.
Yeah,
had some type of producer credit on it, but I guess not. That is a distributed one. You're right. Yeah.
Yeah, so we'll see what, if there's one thing I know for sure is there will be a new Chainsaw every couple of years, because that franchise has been consistently putting out titles since.
Speaking of
what do we had? Chainsaw. How many are there now? There's the original 4, and then the 2 remakes, that's 6, and then 3D Leatherface,
there's 9.
And 9. Jesus Christ, dude. Whenever the 12th Friday the 13th came out, there was 5 chainsaws out.
Yeah.
Or 6, actually.
Yeah, speaking of that, I was actually thinking about this last night, and I was like, man, I'm surprised that there hasn't been rumblings of a new Hellraiser, because it's been a couple. Well, was it 2 years ago?
Yeah, 2.
Yeah.
So there's got to be something in the works. You would think.
I think it was 2022. Actually,
and I didn't really care for the remake of Hellraiser really at all, but just the rights thing, right? Because I think they got to do a film every couple years too. And
no, that doesn't exist anymore.
It doesn't apply to Hellraiser.
No, because that was when
is it over for Children of the Corn too?
Yeah, because both of those were in the same studio.
So I never understood how that worked, because we obviously know that the whole Weinstein thing went tits up and shit like that. But so like a lot of these contracts just got kind of disintegrated. Like
I think the way that the Weinsteins worked was whenever they originally got the rights from whoever owned them, I guess it would have probably been like one of the Trimarks or something like that. Whoever produced part 3, whenever they got the rights to Hellraiser Bloodline, and around the same time, I think it was like Children of the Corn.
Yeah, same studios, right? Because that was all who the fuck was doing those movies at the time? It's not New Line. It's I can't remember who was doing them.
I don't remember, but I think like the deal was that like they had a like basically like an extended rights thing where as long as they kept producing movies, they could keep hold of the rights in like perpetuity essentially. But then what if there was a gap, the rights would revert back to the original people. But I think once the Weinstein studio like sort of folded up, I think that they lost the rights, and then now I think that it's either with the original studio or some other studio came in and just fully bought the rights. I can't really remember how it goes, but they seem to float around a bit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the whole production companies on the fucking Children of the Corn movies is all over the place. It's weird. I don't really understand how all that shit works.
But that's why we saw so many Hellraiser films so often.
Yeah, right.
Like pretty much like every like 4 years we got one.
Yeah. Yeah, and it was definitely doing the same with the Children of the Corn, because there's there's got to be 13? Because like Dimension, I know Dimension did a bunch of these, and weren't they responsible for a lot of the Hellraiser ones too?
They did it from part 4 to Judgment.
So it was like Children of the Corn too. So it must have been the same contracts, because Children of the Corn movies were coming out pretty rapid. And honestly, like they've been. I think
it was Children of the Corn 3 to Runaway.
Yeah, right. And like they're still popping out. Like it's pretty wild. I mean, I guess they kind of did that's another remake that they did, because they'd already remade Children of the Corn. Remember the TV film, and then they did one a couple years back with the girl. So they've actually fully remade that one twice. It's crazy.
Yeah, that one was kind of a different kind of remake.
Everyone hated that thing. I actually didn't mind it though.
I saw that bitch in a theater, man.
I was sitting in an airport waiting for my flight. It was super delayed, and I was like, well, fuck this. I'm going to watch a new Children of the Corn movie. And I got the whole thing in before even boarded. So I didn't mind it though. People are like, I think people are just kind of getting discouraged. They're like, well, they got to remake everything and change the lead characters to girls. I'm like, whatever. I have no problem with that. Doesn't bother me.
Yeah, the Children of the Corn franchise is weird too.
There's a lot of them. Like, I think what's the whole franchise at now? There's got to be at least 13. Something like that. There's 11. There's 11. Yeah, it's getting up there, man.
Yeah.
Fuck, it's hard to believe that there isn't more Children of the Corn than Friday the 13th. It's crazy. It just seems like, I think it's also because they've also been coming out still, where Friday's been dead in the water for a while.
There's 11 Hellraisers as well.
Yeah.
It's a lot of Hellraisers.
Yeah, so October 2022 was the last Hellraiser. That franchise is dead in the water to me right now.
Mm-hmm.
It's like they just did like a reboot, remake, whatever you want to call it. And it was so disappointing to me. I just don't even know where they go from here.
I wouldn't be surprised if they made a sequel to that, though. I really wouldn't. Because I think the consensus is on that film that we're in the minority for not liking that. I feel like I don't know. I
feel like most people didn't like it.
Even if it was 60-40, we're still in the minority.
Yeah, but here's the thing, dude. and like this is the problem with like the way films are done now a lot of times is like there's so many people involved to get it to go that like you usually, unless it's just like one studio doing it, sometimes you just don't see any movement on like a follow-up, because like if you look at this Hellraiser, this last one, you had production by 20th Century Fox, Spyglass Media Group, Phantom 4 Films, 247 Hub, and then distributed by Hulu and Paramount.
Right.
Like, that's just so many people involved.
Yeah, but just distributors doesn't factor into the production. That's just who is going to
sometimes it
be able to see the fucking films.
But sometimes it does, because like that film was basically signed for Hulu. So it kind of was like before it even was out, it was like it was made for Hulu, I believe.
Yeah, but I still think that it was made for them to solely distribute the film, not actually produce and put money into it. I mean, there is a difference, right? But I mean, Paramount's a little bit different because Paramount's actually a production company. So where Hulu, I guess Hulu actually does produce films though too, don't they? Like they've actually put money into films and produced their own films, because you see those like Hulu exclusives, which aren't always produced by Hulu themselves. It's just where you can see them exclusively. But I'm pretty sure they've actually turned into a production company also. But I think in this case, that one wasn't. But, you know, I mean, there's other. That's so a lot of production companies.
Last we heard was last March. The producer Keith Levine and Derek Bruckner were in talks to do a follow-up.
Yeah, I mean, like I said,
that was a year ago at this point.
Who knows? It could still be in talks. It might even be in I mean, sometimes movies go into pre-production and you don't hear about it. Sometimes you do, sometimes you don't. I don't know, but I'm just shocked because I remember when it came out, I was super disappointed. But I think didn't Dave Z really like it? Like there was people that really enjoyed it.
I think it's like his number 2.
Yeah, see, it's it's crazy. Like, it always blows my mind when I completely dislike a film and then someone has it. It's like the Suspiria remake, same fucking thing. Like it was his number 1 film and that shit wouldn't even have made my top 25 that year. You know what I mean? It's crazy. But
yeah, well, that one we are in the minority on, but the Hellraiser one, it seemed kind of split from my memory.
It's been a little bit. I mean, it's so fast paced nowadays. I
remember a lot
of
people saying, kind of just being like, yeah, it was fine.
Yeah, that's kind of how I felt about it. Like, I didn't hate it. I was very disappointed because I figured that Bruckner would understand what Hellraiser was, and that movie just completely missed the mark on what Hellraiser was.
Yeah, like
it's as like if you compare it to like the other sequels in the franchise, like it's pretty solid. Because a lot of those didn't really understand what Hellraiser was either, but I kind of know that and expect that out of those, whereas like a reboot with a budget, I didn't really expect that. Like the reason
you could use the argument of like they took the idea of Hellraiser and tried to do something completely different. Like maybe they did understand Hellraiser, but they didn't want to do Hellraiser.
Right, but that's not what they said. That's my problem. Is they said
okay. Well,
when they were talking about the movie, like it sounded like they understood what Hellraiser was.
But maybe you misunderstood them. Maybe they're like, we understand Hellraiser.
No, I didn't understand.
But
them.
Semicolon, we're going to do our own fucking thing here. I'm not trying to defend. I'm
if
just
they would have said that, I would have accepted it.
Yeah.
But like all the talk was like get Hellraiser back to its roots and stuff like that, and I didn't see that at all.
Yeah, I miss all this shit, man. I don't pay attention to that shit, man, because I think everyone's a liar. Anyways,
yeah. Well, I think also just like to me, like Hellraiser is always just about like sort of like that the love and the pleasure and pain and like looking to explore beyond. Like that's the idea, like looking like you're so invested in your whether it's lust or pain or pleasure or whatever, like you're so invested in it that you've grown bored of all the human facets to that, and you're looking for something beyond, and that's sort of what Hellraiser is.
Yeah.
In its essence, and that none of that was in the new one. It was like, what was it about? Some like girl who was like on drugs or something and fucking accidentally pricked her finger on a puzzle box or something.
Yeah, dude.
It's just so basic, It just like there's so much rich like history with the Hellraiser like film, like the book, and even Clive has done more work on that, and then the comic books have like more of like a Hellraiser vibe than anything we've really seen. But I don't know. I just it wasn't what I was expecting. I guess at the end of the day, I didn't really care for it. But it's all right. It's not bad or anything.
No, it's not like it's poorly produced. Like, it has production value to it and stuff.
Yeah, and I'm sure like years down the road, if I revisit it, I might find a new like for it, because
it's really dark.
That happens a lot.
Like, visually, it's really dark, isn't it?
Yeah,
from what I remember. But
yeah, and I did like that Jamie Clayton as like that version of Pinhead. It was kind of cool.
Yeah. We got to throw a big shout out to our homeboy Jonathan Carpenter, as JP would probably say.
Mm-hmm.
He's always just making up names. I don't even think John Carpenter's full name is Jonathan.
I don't just make up names.
I don't know, man. I don't know.
Wesley Craven.
Wesley Craven. His name is probably actually Wesley, isn't it?
Probably.
I don't even know. But John,
Billy Lust.
Like, I do know a lot of people named John, and their name is literally John. It's not Jonathan.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I know a lot of people named Billy Lust as well. And Frankie Hen and Lot.
Frankie Hen.
Reiki Hen, right? So John Carpenter is getting his Hollywood
Tobias Hooper
star in April. So give him credit where credit's due, right?
I also heard that John Carpenter, I don't know if I didn't like fact check this, is just like on one of those shared posts on Facebook.
Yeah.
But I also heard that Bong Joon-ho asked Carpenter to score his next movie, and Carpenter is going to, I guess.
To score Bong Joon-ho film? Why not?
Yeah, I don't know if it's true. I saw that, so it could be just rumor shit.
Yeah, I hope so.
I don't know why somebody would make that up.
I honestly don't really understand why Carpenter doesn't get called to do more scores in general. Like, the dude
he probably just is like, I want to play video games.
Well, I mean, he's recorded 4 albums in the last like 5 or 6 years too, and he's been touring a lot too, so he's busy. But he has done scores. Like, he did the newer Halloween ones, and I think he did a couple other movies and stuff too, kind of low key. But he has been busy as shit though. So, but yeah, he's so good.
Yeah, I found it online. Fangoria reported it.
Is it real?
Fangoria reported it.
Really?
Then it must be real. That's cool though.
Have you guys seen? But you probably didn't watch, because I know JP, you don't watch trailers either. But like the Toxic Avenger like teaser trailer and stuff. Like, man,
I didn't watch it.
I didn't either. But the first images that popped up of like Dinklage as Toxie, I was kind of pissed, man. It was like fucking everywhere in my feed. I'm like, it's almost like the same thing. Might as well just throw the trailer on and prop my eyes open. I was just kind of like excited to like go into it blindly and shit like that. But I gotta say, it looks pretty cool. Like, just the stills doesn't look bad.
So John Carpenter was speaking at a 4K restoration screening of it. It looks like it literally just happened. It says last night, and this article came out the 23rd, which is today. So literally this happened last night, apparently. And Bong Joon-ho was there, and he asked him, like, on the spot, he's like, would you be interested in composing the score for my next film?
And Carpenter's like,
what if Carpenter was like, who the fuck are you?
It's so funny.
That's good though.
No, he's not going to say that until after he lowballs him with the cash. Yeah, if he lowballs him with the cash, he's like, "Well, who the fuck are you?"
apparently this is going to be a horror movie, and he's been thinking about this since 2001.
So he's actually going to do an official horror film.
Yeah,
dude. A lot of people fucking like respect the hell out of John Carpenter. It's dope.
Yeah,
well, because he's legitimately he's one of the best American composers.
He gets a lot of love in kind of the Criterion circles too. People like really respect John Carpenter.
Yeah,
because he also has that like outside looking in attitude. He's kind of like fuck Hollywood. It's kind of ironic though. He's getting a Hollywood star, and he's like fuck Hollywood all the time. They're like, well,
so is Robert Englund is too, right?
Yeah. They're not industry guys. So
I think a lot of people
I don't think
really
Carpenter is really like fuck Hollywood. He just got screwed by the Hollywood system. Like his movies just always bomb, dude.
Yeah. But they also treated him like a second class director a lot of times too, like offering him shit fees for shitty movies and stuff. And like, eventually you would just end up taking paychecks, right? That's how we ended up doing the
Village of the
Dam remake. Like no passion in it, man. It was a paycheck for him. It's kind of sucks that that's what his career came to. But I mean, at least he's got the music, man. At least he got respect there. So
I think people really appreciate, like, looking back, some of the more like films he had creative control on, and some of the things he was like really able to tap into, I think, in his later 80s films, like with They Live and like Prince of Darkness specifically. I think there's a lot of like really like, even like films like Escape from New York. I think there's a lot of like really cool like post like Vietnam American commentary in those films that a lot of people appreciate now, like looking back, like from a historical context.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, definitely. There was definitely some ahead of the time like concepts and commentaries and stuff that people appreciate now.
Well, They Live as a whole is insanely relevant, man. It's like it was so far ahead of its time.
I think that's one of his film that's like really like aged the best in the last like 30 years.
I mean, I never go back and watch a Carpenter film and be like, wow, that's really a product of its time. Like I never feel that when I watch his movies. It's weird.
Big Trouble in Little China feels kind of 80s as hell to me.
Yeah, that movie's fun though, man. It's like stupid fun.
Yeah, it's good. Yeah. Yeah, no, but like The Thing is like timeless, dude.
Yeah. Yeah, the ones I go back to all the time are like The Thing, The Fog, Prince of Darkness, They Live, I think. Those are probably the ones I watch the most.
Christine's another one I will go back and revisit too, man.
Christine as well for me.
Saw that in theaters about a year or two ago. That was cool.
But I'd probably say the one that I watched the most is it used to be The Thing. I would watch The Thing quite often, but I would probably say The Fog is definitely the one I go back to the most.
It's easily Halloween for me because it's on a holiday and I watch it pretty much every year.
I mean, if I'm ever going to be that cornball that watches, the holiday films on the holidays like JP does every year. No,
you fucking do. What are you talking about?
I actually don't very often. Like even this last Patty's Day,
you don't watch Halloween movies on Halloween?
No, I'm talking about specific Halloween movies, like Halloween franchise movies.
It's all the same. It's all set on Halloween.
I'm talking about the actual franchise Halloween. I barely ever watch them.
Movies set on Halloween during Halloween.
I do Trick or Treat.
Is one of them.
I do Trick or Treat. I do. There is ones that I do, but
so I'm a cornball for watching Halloween on Halloween, but you're not for watching Trick or Treat on Halloween. Maybe to me it sounds like you're trying to be too cool to watch Halloween on Halloween.
I was talking about the actual Halloween film. Yeah, no, honestly, I barely ever go back. I made the mistake a couple years back and rewatched part 4 and realized how much I hate that fucking movie. So like
so over dramatic.
It's not over dramatic. It's pretty fucking bad. It's pretty bad. But yeah, no, I don't watch a lot of Halloween franchise movies on Halloween. I will watch other stuff like Flesh Eater and shit like that. So yeah, it's kind of
I usually watch Halloween 1, 2, and 3 during October.
I mean, part 3 is the one I do, but I always feel like that's kind of like the outlier in the fucking Halloween franchise. It's like it's part of the Halloween franchise, but it's not really, it's not Mike Myers or anything. It's such a standalone.
What's wrong with Mike Myers?
Nothing.
Halloween 1 and 2 are great.
Nothing's wrong with part 1 and 2. I love those two movies, but I'm just saying part 3 is like just such an out of left field type film where it doesn't even feel like it should be. We all know the story, but it just sticks out to me. When I pop in Halloween 3, I don't think of the Halloween franchise. I just think of Season of the Witch and killing kids. That movie's very, very mean spirited, and I fucking love it.
That movie is like ingrained in the franchise to me because it was the first one I seen. It was the one I watched the most.
Right.
I always watched it. If I watched 1 and 2, I always watched 3 afterwards. So yeah, like it doesn't have anything to do with Halloween, like slasher Michael Myers stuff, but it still feels like part of the franchise for me.
In retrospect, man, it's too bad that Carpenter's idea for the Halloween films never like panned out, like to make a different type of film every year. Like that whole idea works for me on paper, but of course nobody bought into it at the time. They're like, where the fuck is the guy with the mask?
I mean, that's the same idea that fucking Mike Doherty had too, to make it like new anthology every year for Halloween.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, he obviously stole that from
to see it.
Carpenter because of, let's face it, Doherty is a lot different generation than Carpenter. But yeah, it would have been cool though. It would have been awesome to see a fleet of these films, you know, based on Halloween, but just different stories and shit. Like, could you imagine Season of the Witch? Not part 2, but like just another film, just like crazy shit like that, man. Fuck. Such a missed opportunity. Damn fans, the backlash. We want the guy with no personality back on the screen.
I mean, I don't blame them. The first two, it would be different if the second movie was not Michael Myers, but the first 2 fucking movies are Michael Myers. So you kind of expected it the third.
Yeah, but people didn't have to get over dramatic, as you want to put it, and be like, oh my God, we can't have this, man. We got to go back.
Yeah, but it's easy for us to say that now in hindsight.
Of course it is.
Yeah.
Of course it is.
At the time, I probably would have been fucking annoyed as hell.
Yeah, I guarantee you there's some like there's some stuff we think is like real stupid now that
like could you imagine
20 years they might look back and be like, wow, why did they hate this then?
Could you imagine if they made another Friday the 13th right now and it came out and like Jason wasn't in it at all or Pamela?
Really mad.
I'd be like, what the fuck did you just do to me, bro?
Yeah, but that's a little extreme though, man, because we've had fucking, 11 films with Jason. So that would be kind of a weird, well, actually, no, not 12. Technically. No, we've only had 10 with Jason because part 5.
Nah, Jason's still in part 5 in a sequence.
In like a flashback scene?
Yeah. Well, dream sequence. So when he has
that's what I meant. The dream
when
sequence,
he has the red on the mask, it's supposed to be like Jason.
Right. But I mean, in theory, 10 out of 12 films have Jason.
Well, but part 1 has Jason as well
as the killer. Okay, we got to get real specific here.
Okay, as the killer, fine.
But I mean, you look at Nightmare on Elm Street. All 7 movies have Freddy.
Yeah, but 8 movies have Freddy.
Right. I mean, that remake exists? Shit. My bad.
Wait, hold on. How many Elm Streets are there? 6,
There's 8.
7, 8, 9.
No.
You got the original 6, Wes Craven's New Nightmare.
It's 7.
Freddy vs. Jason.
Oh, you want to count that? I guess.
What do you mean? That movie's more of an Elm Street movie than a Friday movie.
It is. It's funny because you're right on that, and I always think of it as a Friday the 13th film. But you're like, every time I watch that, I'm like, this is totally a Freddy film.
Yeah, it does feel like 80% Freddy, 20% Jason.
It does. Well, it's because the whole dream sequence. Like, I mean, if you watch Friday the 13th, you're not getting a lot of like actual dreams. Like, it's definitely a Friday the 13th type film.
Plus, like 90% of the movie takes place in Elm Street, and just the like final act takes place on Crystal Lake, and it's just like the lake is the background. It's not even like there's an actual like camp there or anything.
Yeah, which is kind of weird because they filmed that in Vancouver.
Yeah, they do that a lot.
Yep, they do. Franchises. We're talking about all the franchises that we don't review. Well, that's actually not true. We've done Chainsaw. We've done
Hellraiser.
We've done Hellraiser. Just haven't done the big 2. Although we haven't. I mean, for modern franchises, like I guess we've done Saw. We've done
Paranormal,
and what's the other one that we have not done? Insidious.
We haven't done The Purge. We haven't done Insidious. We haven't done the Conjuring universe.
Which that would be so painful for me. I honestly don't know if I can handle that.
Did you not like the last 2 Annabelle films? I thought those might be like the 2 best films in the whole damn universe outside of Conjuring.
Yeah, the fucking first Annabelle film is such a fucking. It's such a shit bomb.
That's the only Conjuring universe film I've still not seen is that first Annabelle.
I think I dubbed those films as being like it's they got better as they went along.
Well, yeah, Annabelle. The prequel one was. I love that. I thought that movie was great.
Mm-hmm. It actually was pretty good.
Yeah, and then the Annabelle Comes Home. That one was like pretty good. Not as good as I don't know. It was about as good. I don't know.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, But like, I mean, as for everything else, though, man, like La Llorona,
Conjuring 3 was awful. La Llorona was bad.
See, the story
Nun 2 was bad.
The real story behind The Conjuring 3 is pretty entertaining. Have you ever seen the documentary on that?
Yeah, it's a really good.
Yeah, it's a really cool story. I actually have never seen The Conjuring 3, to be honest. It's really strange, but I've seen.
It starts off pretty cool. It does start off good.
But like, there's really nothing else that's going on. Like The Nun, I know you liked. I wasn't a big fan. I like the Fulci shit. I thought was actually really cool.
But the second Nun was bad.
Soulless.
It was so boring.
It was soulless. It was, man, it was bad. Like really bad.
Yeah, that's not my franchise, bro. Like I'm not a big Conjuring Universe franchise fan. Now Insidious, that would be fun to do.
I feel like there hasn't been a miss in that franchise yet. Like, I mean, the last couple haven't been.
All 5 of them are good.
Yeah, like they're not as good as the earlier ones, but it doesn't matter to me. I mean, you're gonna have variations in every franchise, but the fact that there's 5 solid films is pretty impressive.
Yeah, and they all are this, it all follows the same characters and story. For the most part.
Exactly. Yeah, they're pretty fucking solid, man. Kind of marathon those leading up to the last one.
Yeah, what was the last franchise we did? Probably Piranha. We didn't really do many this year, huh?
We did Piranha. We did House.
Oh, House. Yeah,
oh, yeah.
We did do House.
We got a couple coming up. So, I mean, in theory, we're actually doing quite a bit this season.
Yeah. Well, we don't do as many as we used to simply because we've done a lot of them.
Yeah, we really have.
You know what I mean? But we pretty much mapped out the rest of the season this year, and we do have 2 franchise shows coming up during, which I think both we've mentioned on the show before.
Yeah, so one of them will be the Hills Have Eyes franchise, which we're going to do all 5
I'm actually
films.
really excited for that. Wait.
And people are probably going, what do you mean 5 films?
Yes, 5 films, because we're doing Hills Have Eyes 3.
Yeah.
Which isn't a real movie.
No. It was just marketed like
the
that.
Mind Ripper. Yeah,
Mind Ripper, aka The Hills Have Eyes 3, which is, sometimes we do that. Might as well.
Yeah.
And then,
I think that's what kind of separates us, is we will shove in shit that was released as a title but never actually.
Was the Blind Dead films this season, or was that last season?
Last.
Okay, so it was towards the end of the season, though. It was like one of the last shows we did, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, we did that one too. But yeah, so there's that, and then there's the Critters franchise, which there's 5 films in that one. There also is that little mini series thing that
I'm gonna watch it.
Is it on your Shudder? Because it's not on mine.
No, they took it off, but Chris told us that it is on Plex, like the free Plex platform.
Okay.
Which if you've ever watched anything on Plex, like actual Plex, not like Dave's Plex or something, the fucking amount of ads they shove on that thing are insane.
Just imagine. Yeah, I'm not 100% sure I'll get to that. Maybe, I mean, if I have the time and stuff like that.
Dude, I think there aren't they only 5-minute or 10-minute episodes or something like that.
Yeah, I remember it being really, really short. I didn't really hear many people talk about it. Was it decent? Was it bad?
It was bad.
Okay, so that's probably why it was pretty quiet. So makes kind of sense, but
yeah, that'll be in a few episodes, because we're kind of doing it for Easter, because Critters 2 takes place on Easter.
Right.
Yeah, so each episode is 10 minutes, and there's 8 episodes, 9 to 11 minutes. And there's 8 episodes, so about a movie.
It's like watching a movie, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's not too bad actually, then. But
yeah, I'll definitely watch that just for the hell of it. But
yeah, I'll probably get to that then too.
Yeah, I like those movies. They're all, at the end of the day, they're all fun. At least the first 4. The 5th one, it was all right, but I don't really remember it a whole lot.
I remember liking it. Can't remember a whole lot about it, though. You're right.
I remember just being annoyed that Dee Wallace was in the movie, but not the same character.
Oh yeah, it's
I don't like. I hate when that happens.
That's so stupid.
Like, unless the character's like dead or something, then I understand. But like,
right,
you know, the best they've ever done that with was the Hatchet movies. Perry Shen's character,
right?
He played 3 different people.
That's true. Yeah. But it became a joke, though, right? So
yeah, it was definitely a nod at the audience. It was funny.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we have that, and The Hills Have Eyes should be fun. The original, we've actually reviewed the original on an episode before, when Wes Craven passed away, and then part 2. I remember hating part 2 the first time I watched it, and then I revisited it a couple years ago and sort of looked at it through a different lens and found it kind of enjoyable. And the remake I love, but I don't really remember the remake sequel. I haven't seen it in a long time.
Yeah, it's been a little bit for me also. I do remember it though. Yeah, the nice thing about those, the remake and the sequel and stuff, like they're pretty hardy on the gore and shit.
Yeah.
So I think I watched just a couple years, but like 2 or 3 years ago, I popped it in. I can't even really remember if I liked it or not. It's fucking weird. So I think it's goofy, but anyways, I don't really have much else. You guys got anything notable?
Anything notable happened? No, I don't think anything notable happened. Not that I can recall, at least.
Yeah, no, I'm just kind of, I was scrolling through Bloody Disgusting. Nothing's really catching my, just a bunch of shit on here. Slow fucking week. But anyways, yeah, so I guess we'll wrap up the intro here, and then we're going to get into Waxwork 1 and 2 here on episode 289. See you in a minute.
Yo, who this?
Yo, Moodz, it's your boy, the ill-mannered funky child, calling you to remind you that the featured reviews on this episode contain spoilers.
Aw, yeah, man, that's right, brother. Thanks for the heads up, playa. Now go back to being an unproductive asshole.
Fuck you. Now tell your listeners to stop being so dumb, silly, sensitive.
Yeah.
And now, our feature presentation.
All right, so getting into the featured reviews here on episode 289, we're going to take it back to 1988 with a film called Waxwork, directed by Anthony Hickox, who actually passed away, I think, a couple years ago.
2023.
Yeah,
2023. Yep, you're right. I thought I recognized that. Yeah, so this was his debut film. He went on the next year to do Sundown, the Vampire in Retreat, which I haven't seen in years. I know Vestron actually put that out also on Blu-ray.
Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, he did the sequel in 1992, Waxwork 2. Went on to do, in the same year, Hellraiser 3, Hell on Earth. And then, of course, he did Warlock, the Armageddon, which is the sequel. It's kind of crazy. I did a lot of sequels and shit.
Mm-hmm.
And then after that, he really didn't do any genre films. He just kind of branched out and did a whole pile of other stuff. But I mean, that's not overly something that we haven't seen a million times, where guys start out making these type of films and then never go back. But
he did do Jill the Ripper.
Oh, is that actually a horror film?
Yeah. Well, no. Like, I think it's like a
Jill Rips. Is that what it is?
Yeah. It's produced by Wynorski, starring Dolph Lundgren. I think it was like,
oh yeah, it is too.
Like a thriller, maybe.
Yeah, I have never heard of this.
I think I owned it on VHS.
That's awesome.
Oddly enough, but I don't really remember it.
It looks cheap as fuck too.
Yeah,
straight to video.
He did do another sort of like thriller in 2008 called Knife Edge.
Right.
It looks atrocious.
This film's actually starring Zach Galligan. Of course, you probably remember him from Gremlins fame. Yeah, I mean, there's a couple other faces in here too. We got David Warner, who I've always really liked as an actor. He's really good. Who else is in this film? I mean, there's, I don't know, a few other people. But let's get into a synopsis. A wax museum owner uses his horror exhibits to unleash evil on the world. Tyler, I'm assuming you've seen Waxwork before or not?
Nope, I haven't seen either of these movies before.
Damn, this is the first time you watch Waxwork? That's fucked up.
Yeah, I knew about this movie for a long time, and I guess I just never. It was at the time that I was like really interested in watching it, which would have been probably like the 2010s. I was watching just like a ton of just like cool horror movies like this.
Mm-hmm.
It was like my first like dive past like the first layer of horror, and this was a movie I always saw. And I guess around then I just never really had accessibility to it, and then just over time it just like fell off the radar. It's always a movie I knew, and it's a couple times I saw the Vestron in the store, and I was like, oh, I remember that movie. Maybe I'll pick that up, and I just never did.
Yeah, it was a staple for me back in the day, man. I had the tape of it, and man, I watched this thing tons of times. It was so much fun. It still is.
It kind of reminded me of like the Page Master.
Really?
Macaulay Culkin?
Yeah. That would have been like my version of this movie, because we probably would have been like a similar age and we saw them for the first time too.
So I have an interesting history with this movie. So back in, I want to say it was probably about the year like 1999 or 2000. Me and my cousin and her mom and dad, my uncle and aunt. One of the things I've mentioned him before, but my uncle Kevin was a like big movie buff, and every Friday he would get paid or whatever, and then we'd go to the video store, rent some movies, get
robbed.
Yeah, that guy.
Get robbed.
Yeah. And so we were all going to rent movies and stuff, and I picked out Waxwork, this movie, and we got some pizza from a place called Elmo's, and we went back to the house and we popped in Waxwork, and we got a phone call from basically my other uncle's work, saying that there had been an accident. So we rushed down there, and it was pretty close by. It was only like a couple miles away from us. And it was basically this coal mine place thing. But he was working security at this, like, basically, site essentially. Mm-hmm. And there was like a lot of old buildings and stuff there and things like that. And essentially he was in one of the buildings, like patrolling or whatever, and the floor gave free, and he like fell like a couple stories, and he got really jacked up. And it was like one of the craziest things I ever saw. Like his head, I remember his head, like his skull, like had a like thumb length like hole inside it. It was just like disturbing as hell. And he broke like his pelvis and his back, and like, I mean, it was such a long road to recovery. I mean, he's still never, like, the doctors were saying that he would never be able to throw a football with his kids and stuff like that, but he ended up like getting a lot better than that. Like, he could throw a football, but he was always kind of jacked up from that day on. Right. But it was just a wild thing, and I always remember, because we were like, the part where right after the werewolf scene is when we got the call, and we drove down there and saw him, and he was just completely jacked up.
So you guys were like 20 minutes into the movie.
Yeah. And I got stung by a bee down there too. I remember being pissed about that.
So did he, was it all for nothing? Like, was it a false call, or like he was just doing his job, obviously, but like, did anything actually happen?
Yeah, I mean, he went to the hospital and was there for months.
No, because he got called out there because of a security breach, I'm assuming.
His coworker called my uncle and said, like, Scott fell. He's hurt real bad. And we like flew down there. We got there before the ambulance got there. and he was just so mangled.
Oh shit! Okay, I thought it happened to him. I thought you guys called and he went there and then he fell through. I was like, holy shit! Okay.
No. My other uncle was there working.
Right.
But both of my uncles worked there. Like
that's what I got twisted.
There.
Right.
So my uncle did like welding and stuff down there, and then my other uncle did like security, and then I think my other uncle eventually did security there too. But we used to. It was really cool. Like my uncle used to take us to work with him, and we just had like free roam of this giant, like crazy area, and we would just like explore, and it was cool and stuff. But obviously we didn't go into those buildings, but apparently nobody should have been going into those buildings.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, he got like a big settlement out of it and stuff like that. It was like over like $200 and some $1,000 and shit like that.
Yeah.
But yeah,
that'll happen.
It messed him up real bad. And it was like one of the more, you figure I was probably about 8 or 9 at the time. It was like one of the craziest things I ever like seen, like physical damage to somebody's body. Like it was just, his whole body was red. There was like no skin there. It was just, he was all blood.
Damn. Got to see a horror movie within a horror movie.
Right. But yeah, I never did finish Waxwork that day. But I saw it.
I guess not, right? I guess not.
I saw it years later. And I've seen this movie a bunch of times.
Okay, so yeah, Tyler, what are your thoughts on Waxwork?
Waxwork. What do I think about Waxwork? So I think I was expecting it to be a little darker. I think it's one of those movies, maybe if I saw it a little younger, I would feel a little warmer about. It was decent. But it was a lot more fantasy than I really expected, you know what I mean? And I felt like some of the vignettes are a little bit long. My favorite, like when they were like, I do like the idea of them just like pushing them like into like the wax scene, and it puts them in this like weird historical event. That was like the first time they did it. That was something that really like caught me off guard, because I didn't know, and it's like you really in with what it shows you. You don't really know like what is going on with like these wax figures, but you can tell it's not like, you know, your House of Wax type of deal. But some of like the shorter ones were it tended to be my favorite ones. I noticed, like the ones that they spent a lot of time in. What was the one, like the Night of the Living Dead one? Like things like the ones that they spent like less time in.
Right.
I like those. I was starting to like lose focus a little with like the blonde woman and the vampire line and like the skin, like the castle.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was basically just the Dracula story. Yeah.
Yeah. But it's interesting. It's interesting for what it was. You know, it's got some laughs in there. It's definitely, I can definitely see why it has a cult following. It kind of reminded me of like a little bit of an upscale like full moon movie.
Yeah,
a lot of the sets like feel like something you would have seen in like a full movie.
Yeah, but I think the production value in this is pretty good, man. Like I think
it's better. It is.
Even the look, better. Which you know we've seen many werewolf films over the years and stuff, and like they're very hit and miss on designs and stuff. And like I actually don't mind the design on this. I think it kind of looks pretty good.
I love it. I think even the cabin and like the way that the light shines through from the like window up top, and like the big spacious cabin that feels like you know, like how it just feels like something out in the middle of the woods, you know.
Right.
And that scene is actually like probably my favorite of the vignettes, because it's funny, and like the dude's just like he's just so confused. He's like,
well, he's playing it off like, hey, like he keeps looking at the sky like, hey, I know you guys are watching me, so I'm going in here now. Like, but I mean, at that point, if like, you were
China, did you put acid in my drink again?
So wait a minute, I gave up drinking. What the fuck is going on? You know? Yeah. But like, I mean,
he's like, so we got a house and we got a house.
The world
like looking around in the woods.
The world jumping too kind of reminded me a bit of Super Mario Brothers.
What did?
Like, it's like the world jumping. Like, remember, like, you ever play Super Mario 64 and you have to jump into the painting to get into like the new world?
I always feel like the first vignette or whatever you want to call it. I always call like Waxwork an anthology that, this is how you make an anthology film without actually making an anthology film. It's got like these little short stories within the actual narrative of it. It's pretty cool. But like, honestly, man, this movie as a whole, like, I really like the design in it. I think that there's a lot of really good effects too. Like the werewolf looks good. Even when he rips that fucking
the mummy scene is great.
Yeah, like when he rips the dude in half, the werewolf, I think that looks really good. You're right. Like the effects on the dude's leg that got all hacked up for dinner and shit, like in the Count Dracula segment. Like
there's actually, I don't know if you guys know this, but the Vestron release, the Blu-ray, was the first time it was released on disc uncut.
Yeah.
So if you had that old double pack, it was the cut version, and there's a little bit more gore. Primarily in that scene, the scene with the vampires, which absolutely. By the way, that whole like steak tartare thing, like it makes me so sick feeling.
Yeah.
And I don't know why, because like I usually eat like rare steak.
It's the fact that she called it steak tartare.
And it's just like the sauce. He's like, what? No sauce?
Yeah.
He pours a whole fucking thing in there. I'm like, oh. Good Lord.
This is so nasty.
That
made me bust out laughing was when he went to the mummy exhibit. Well, it's real short. It's only like a minute long, and he like crushes the guy's skull.
Oh yeah.
Oh my god, I laughed so hard. It's so funny.
So this one primarily focuses on like Universal monster stories. Like, of course, we have like the werewolf story. We got Dracula. We got Phantom of the Opera. We also have what else does it do? Well, obviously, it does the Mummy, and yeah, I think that's it actually for Universal monster stories, and of course, it does a little bit of Night of the Living Dead too. So, but yeah, like pretty interesting parodies. Like, I mean, when I was watching it younger, I never really understood that it was more like it does have comedy. This one is definitely not as goofy as the second one. Like that one is like just kind of over the top goofy, but this one still has that comedic elements that I think really work. But I really like the core narrative of this movie. Like the film opens up with this dude basically getting bum rushed, and he gets burnt in his own fucking fireplace and shit. They basically, some dude like kills this guy and then takes all of his like valuables and trinkets and shit like that. And you're like, what the fuck just happened? But then they explain that away within the narrative. And I really like the whole story of the dude that's running this waxwork and like what he's doing and why he's doing it and shit like that. Like it turns out like this guy sold his soul to the devil, and he wants to basically take over the world, and he needs to feed these attractions.
It's almost like a 13 Ghosts sort of thing too, where it's like the 18 most like miserable, like hellish people that ever existed.
In a sense, it kind of is. Yeah, you're right. It basically takes like 18 of the worst human or worst creatures and humans of all time and stuff like that, and he wants to resurrect them. And what they have to do is they have to basically feed these scenes, right? You need bodies, so you need 18 people to kill off, basically, to kind of, resurrect like these 18, and they'll actually come into like the real world and stuff like that and kind of take over and shit like that. So the whole premise is actually really cool.
There's actually even a little bit of like meta humor in there where like the one scene, the dude's like, oh wow, you got the actual, like, did you get the mask from the movie, like the Phantom of the Opera? And he's like, the Phantom was in a movie or something like that.
No, he's like they made Phantom of the Opera movie, and then you just walk away and he goes, man, they'll make anything into a movie these days.
Yeah.
It's David Warner. I love David Warner. He's great.
Wink at the camera, like, oh, we know what we're doing here.
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely very self-aware of what it's doing and stuff like that. And
you know what a weird scene is? And to this day, it's still like weird. Like, I don't know how to take it fully, is the opening scene with Zach Galligan. Like where he's in this just posh like house, and his mother, I told you I need the caffeine, like, and it's just it feels so out of like character for him for the rest of the movie.
I think it's just a parody of like, upper class white richness and shit like that. And like, I think the joke is to why people sit at these tables that are 30 feet long with big pieces in the middle, and they have to like look around to talk to each other and stuff. And it's like, Yeah, like she's got these rules, like he can't drink caffeine. But I love that whole scene. He's like, he's having this beef with his mom. And then he leaves the table, and then his butler comes over to him, and he's like,
your caffeine, sir.
He's like, Sir Mark, here's your caffeine, and here's your nicotine. And he takes his drink,
your
and takes a smoke.
sir.
It's so fucking stupid.
It's so,
but we do understand
the tone of it is just so weird because that guy does not feel like Zach Galligan the rest of the movie. Like,
I think it's also because that's his home life. Like that's how he has to be at home, and then when he's out with his friends and stuff, he can be Zach, or he can be Mark. I mean, I don't know. That's just the way I kind of take it. But yeah, no, it is pretty interesting because we do realize, or we get to note that like the person killed in the beginning of the film was actually his great grandfather or his grandfather, and he was super, super wealthy. So they had family money. That's why they lived in this huge ass mansion and stuff like that. But
yeah, everybody's like very like, this is like a like posh like group of kids. Like these are like rich kids.
Yeah, it's college too. Like these guys aren't like, they're not high school. They're actually college kids. So, which is interesting. So, and they quite obviously go to a prestigious school. Like there's kids that are playing football and they're just, they just look the part. They look like they're going to like an A-list school and shit like that. So
yeah, it feels very late 80s.
It really does. It really does. But this movie always, like every time I watch it, it always amazes me at like how good it actually is. Like there's with the whole severed hand thing, I always think that's like a shout out to like Oliver Stone's The Hand movie, right? It's got to be that, right?
There's a lot of references in both these movies, so like I wouldn't put anything past.
Evil Dead 2.
Or it could be Evil Dead. I mean, I thought Evil Dead for sure because it definitely has that kind of goofy tone to it. It definitely feels Evil Dead 2 in the beginning of part 2. Like how goofy that becomes. Mm-hmm. But like the way the severed hand kind of walks around and shit like that, like I just felt like right away I was like, that feels like Oliver Stone's The Hand from 1981 with Michael Caine. So again, like they're doing all these Universal movies. We had Night of the Living Dead, we got The Hand in there. There's lots of really cool shout outs in here, but I think this movie is a lot better in story than people actually give it credit for, because even the way the story plays out and the way they kind of figure out things, and I think it actually all kind of works. I really like the backstory with the grandfather and how they were collecting all these pieces of like the 18 most dangerous people in the history and stuff like that, and of course Buddy goes and steals them shit. I really like the story in this movie. It's great.
Yeah, I honestly like the story too, and I think that it works well. It almost makes you wish that you got a little bit more of the vignettes, because those are like the funnest part to me. And for example, like the Phantom of the Opera one, we just see the guy pushed in there and then we see his body there. We actually don't see like what happened to him.
Yeah. I agree with that actually, because like the werewolf thing is really good. Like the Dracula one's okay. The gore is really good. It's really like bloody and gory.
The Count of Monte Cristo one is like my least favorite thing, probably.
Yeah, probably.
Even though it's kind of brutal.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the Dracula one's got some pretty interesting parts. I love when she pushes the chick against the with the champagne bottles and it pierces through the torso and it's like spraying out their body and shit. Yeah. There's some pretty cool parts in this, man. A lot of good effects, but yeah.
Yeah, the little dude's pretty funny.
Yeah, that part was. I was like confused at like what he was at first.
He's just like a little sidekick.
Oh my god, I couldn't tell he was like a mutant or not. I was like, oh, it's just a little sidekick. This is like Fantasy Island.
He played Elf in a bunch of episodes of the TV show. He wasn't the main Elf character or actor, but he did play in a bunch of episodes. I thought that was kind of.
Who the hell is Elf?
The TV show Elf.
Elf.
Oh, Alf?
Yeah.
You're saying Elf.
Elf, whatever.
He's saying in Canadian.
Fuck's sakes. Okay, Jeremy. Okay, fucking Jeremy. Elf. Yeah, anyways, the TV show Elf. Yeah, so apparently like he actually played like in 10 episodes. I'm assuming he was probably just a fill-in, probably for the regular. I don't know.
Yeah, he was probably like in the costume or something.
Yeah, that's exactly what it was. Yeah.
Yeah. What else about this one?
I love the whole, the 18 trinkets, divided by 3, it's like 666 and stuff. I like all those little fucking those parts of the narrative. I think are really damn cool.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like, like pulpy horror, like like 80s bullshit, but like it's fun. You know, it's at a time where horror wasn't as like serious for a lot of the stuff that was coming out.
Yeah.
It was like more comedic, definitely added like by 80, what is this, 88?
88, yeah.
88,
yeah. By 88, I mean, it was mostly horror comedies at that point. You know what I mean? There was always comedy in horror films that were coming out, and this one fits right in with the rest of the shit.
Yeah, it pretty much started in like we talked about when we did the 85 show. That's kind of like the start of like horror comedies.
Yeah,
and right through the later 80s, it got pretty much goofier every year, to be honest.
And also like a heavy dose of satire by this point. Like I think a lot of the directors were just like being satirical about the genre, and we see that in full effect in this movie. I like Zach Galligan as a leading character. I actually wish he would have done more genre films because I've always liked him. I think he carries the film well.
Yeah, this is a pretty fitting movie for him.
He's charismatic for sure. He definitely hams it up in the second one, but it's also the material that he's given too. Also, right. So you got to play it up a little bit and stuff. So, yeah, one of my favorite scenes actually, going back to the actual narrative of the film, is when Mark and Sarah go up to the attic and they start like kind of figuring out what the fuck is going on, right? And they see that picture of the Waxwork guy, and like, man, that's the same dude that, you know, invited us over and shit like that. And they have this big epiphany and they kind of investigate that and they figure out the whole story and shit. I'm like, man, you know, it's kind of cool.
Aged, and then when they asked the other dude, he's like, if you sold your soul to the devil, you wouldn't age either.
Yeah, exactly. And like, and yeah, the whole story just kind of, it's one thing I really like about this is that it completely all makes sense. Like nothing just doesn't make sense. And I like this whole kind of like time travel aspect and stuff. And like the transitions in the movie are fantastic. Like when the vignettes end and like you see a character kind of walking up to the next thing and you see like the end of that story, like with the werewolf.
Yeah,
like he's
the
sitting
werewolf
there.
One's like the best one.
Yeah,
they do that with.
It's really, really well transitioned and stuff. And actually, another aspect of this movie I really like is actually two things. I think the score in this movie is fantastic. The music is fucking awesome in this movie. It's really, really good. And also the cinematography. There's a lot of really interesting and quirky shots, and it makes sense for the narrative because it's kind of out there. You're doing time travel. You're doing like all this kind of weird shit and stuff like that. And you're dealing with like voodoo and fucking selling your soul to the devil and shit. But like, there's a lot of shots in the film that are kind of cockeyed and just it has that kind of fantastical feel to it, and it does it throughout the whole film. And I think it works so well for what the given narrative is and stuff. It really
and
good
just
stuff.
Like the sound design in general, like the vampire stuff where everything's like all white and just like it feels like a big empty like almost mausoleum. Like there's like sort of like a echo, like it feels like it has high ceilings and stuff like that. They do a good job with that.
Oh yeah, man. I mean, the whole aesthetic of this, man, is fantastic, dude. It really,
they have
is.
a really good set design in this movie, and that's what's so fun about it is you have all these different sets, like the pyramid or the mummy scene. It has like just a good look to it, and the mummy actually looks pretty good too. And the fun thing about these vignettes is like most of them I wouldn't mind seeing a whole movie like that, you know what I mean? And that's like a good thing because it makes it's effective.
Yeah, the one vignette that really is frustrating is the Marquis de Sade one, because
sorry, that I was saying Monte Cristo.
No, I know what you meant.
Yeah.
But yeah, the Marquis de Sade one was like, it's frustrating because like if you know the history of Marquis de Sade, like he was a fucking, like he really did belong in this narrative for like the 18 most like evil creatures and people ever to, because if you know anything about like the history of him, man, it's pretty fucking out there. Pretty out there.
I don't know anything about him.
So this guy was a real person, right? Like, and he was known, he used to write books like on these really crazy pornographic books. Like, I can't remember exactly. It was like the late 1700s to like the 1800s. I think he lived or whatever. But he was known for being very sadistic, and he would have like these crazy violent orgies. And he was just all into like crazy fucked up shit. Like in the scenes in this film where he's like whipping, the girl and stuff. That's what he would do. He was into sexual torture and all this craziness and shit. And the stories are fucking bananas. Like obviously Jess Franco did a lot of Marquis de Sade films and stuff like that because, there's just, it's, sexual acts and stuff. It's, sex sells, right? But they really kind of play it down here because he's really sadistic and shit. It kind of bugged me a little bit, but and it's really short. You know, it doesn't really kind of get into it and stuff, but like the scene where she's like begging at him and she's like, you know, like, oh, you're all offended because your girlfriend had her first orgasm through the whip and stuff like that. But that's what he was all about. Like, he actually ended up getting prosecuted. I think he went to jail for his pornographic books that he wrote and shit like that. He would write these sexual tortures, and, you know, they were supposed to be works of fiction, but I truly believe that everything that he wrote was on the level. Like, he was writing from personal experience. And I think that's how it was kind of perceived by the laws too. Anyways, he ended up getting locked up. I think he died in a nut house or something like that. But like the whole Marquis de Sade. Yeah, Marquis de Sade is like the whole story behind this guy is fucking fascinating, man. It's really wild because you don't really hear a lot of like sexual deviance and from the time period and stuff. I mean, it might just because it wasn't actually
no, they didn't know that he had to do with this guy. He had him like imprisoned and shit.
Yeah, like they really didn't know but like I said though, I think it's one of those things where, you know, he was supposed to be writing works of fiction, but I think he was writing from personal experiences. So his books actually were nonfiction, which kind of made everything even more fucked up, right?
He wrote Salvo in prison on a toilet paper roll. Right.
I was actually going to mention the 120 days of Sodom. Yeah, that's Marquis de Sade. Right. So, yeah, the whole eating shit and stuff is fucking pretty wild and torture. And yeah. But yeah, that one's played down a little bit. It's pretty short and stuff like that. But I really like all the characters like Wilford, and like the whole end scene with the huge battle and shit is fucking awesome in this film. Like there's some good scenes there too. Like he fucking gets his head ripped off. It's fucking awesome. It's so good, man. Oh, man. Really fun stuff. I'm a big fan of like when you're going to burn something down, you do it as a miniature, because that scene where the house is burning is definitely a fucking miniature, man. I love that shit. But yeah, no, good stuff, man. Really fun film. Yeah. I think that like one thing that made me laugh when I was watching this movie twice this week was well, yeah, because I'd watched this before we decided to do this, and I just rewatched them. I'm like, fuck, whatever.
Oh, okay.
So, but I kind of watched the second one more in passing. Like I threw it on and I was in and out of it, and I was kind of watching, but I wasn't like fully paying attention. But the scene where in the end battle, when, you know, the whole crew comes in to whole fight like the 18, you know, fucking worldly misfits and stuff, because they've made their way out at this point. When he catches Count Dracula, when he turns into the bat and he catches and he fucking blows the head off with the gun. That shit to this day still makes me laugh. I'm like, that's how every Dracula film should end. With Dracula turning into a bat, you catch it with your bare hands and you blow its head off with your 357. It's fucking awesome. Makes me laugh every time. But yeah, there's a lot of shit going on in that end scene too, man. Like again, going back to the production value on this film, I think I read the budget was like $3.5 million on this movie. It totally bombed at the box office, which is really shocking that it bombed so badly and it got a sequel. Like, I mean, it's 4 years later, but it got a sequel. So the budget was like $3.5 million. Apparently it only made $808,000 at the box office. So it
must have did really good on video.
That's what I was just about to say. So it must have done well enough on, you know, video to warrant the sequel, because man, that's a really bad bomb. Which is,
yeah, this is at a time where you could literally make a film on it, put it out in theaters and it do horrible, and then it could literally make double its money back on video.
It's probably what happened. Probably just became one of those staple video rentals. Yeah.
Which is why Waxwork 2, I believe, was a direct-to-video.
It was supposed to be theatrical. They pulled it last minute, and it went straight to video. It was slated to be, which is again surprising because the first one bombed so bad. But I mean, they probably looked at the numbers and said, "Hey, the first one really didn't do good, so we should probably just put this out straight to video," which is probably the right idea for the second one, because I can't see that one doing better than the first one.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, all in all, man, this is, you know, honestly, this movie's better than you would probably think it's going to be. Like I said, you know, production value to this is a lot higher and better than you would ever probably think it was going to be. Like I said, good gore, good effects, great story, soundtrack, cinematography. Like there's really not a lot wrong with this film. There really isn't. There's a lot of good performances in the film also. Everyone kind of hams it up in the right fashion. It's not too over the top, where the second film, of course, given the material, it's supposed to be more over the top. So that's like a totally different kind of tone. But I think this one kind of keeps the right tone throughout the whole film, and it does what it does. And every time I watch this film, I'm kind of shocked at like how like gory it really is. Like it just doesn't seem like it's the type of film that would have that type of shit in it, but it really does. Mm-hmm. It's kind of cool. It's fun. But again, doing parodies of like Universal monster movies, which I grew up watching a lot of, and this was just kind of something fresh and unique, and it wasn't taking itself too serious, but you still knew what they were doing. So, great film. Really, really good stuff, man.
I agree.
Yeah, Marky Desaad. Girl, what does he say? He says something on the lines of like, "Oh, she's such a slut." Anyways, he kept calling her a slut. It's like so fucking funny to me. It's so fucking sadistic. It's great. It's great. Right. Anyways, you guys want to do ratings?
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, Tyler, what do you give this one?
Wasn't in love with it. Probably saw it a little bit too late in life, but I appreciate it for what it is, and I still think it's a decent watch. So I'll give it a 6.
JP.
Yeah. I've always liked Waxwork. It's a pretty fun movie. My only complaint is, and it's the same with both films, I feel like it runs a bit too long. I think it's 97 minutes. It could have probably been 90. I think you could cut 7 minutes out of there somewhere. But I give it a solid 7 out of 10.
7, really? I give it 8. Nice. I just like rewatching it like a week ago. I was really taken back at how well the story is written and how everything just completely makes sense. It doesn't have like a lot of like MacGuffin shit and like, convenientness and stuff. Like they really do flush out the story to the point where obviously you got to suspend your belief when you're dealing with voodoo and like interdimension travel and fucking fictional characters that are, obviously trying to come to life in a real reality and stuff. Like, I mean, this is still a fantastical film, but
I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
So in Waxwork, I've always noticed that like the wax figurines are actors standing there and you can see them moving a lot.
Yeah.
Is that intentional to showcase that they're like, there's life to them, or is it not? Or is that like a mistake?
No, I've seen that before. I think it's intentional.
It happens so often.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, have you ever been to like a museum like that before? Like I've been to actual wax museums and I've been to like where people are actually playing that. Yeah. So like, I mean, you can tell like they're going to move and shit like that too. So yeah, I mean, I think if it's probably intentional because you're right. Like it's, it's trying to show that it's, that there's life there and that it may become completely lifeless or lifeful. So yeah, I mean, I never really had a complaint with that. But yeah, it's definitely something. It gives it like a realistic thing though, too, right? I feel like that. So
yeah, some degree.
Right. All right. Well, okay. So that's Waxwork from 1988.
42 shots.
All right, so moving into the sequel, of course, from the glorious year of 1992 comes Waxwork 2, Lost in Time. Again, directed by Anthony Hickox, and again, of course, starring Zach Galligan. This time, Sarah is played by Monica Sharner. The reason for the cast change, because this movie actually has direct continuity. This one starts exactly where the first one ends, like exactly where it ends, which is really fun and cool. I love when movies do this. It's like the same fucking thing. So it's like a perfect double feature. But the one jarring moment in the movie is you're like, that's not Sarah. Who the fuck is that? So the story is behind why the original actress did not come back is because she was originally the girlfriend of Anthony, the director. And I guess they eventually broke up after the first film. I guess it was a messy breakup. But what I've read is that he tried to get her back to do part 2, obviously for the continuity issues, or, you know, for the continuity. And she declined. So they had to recast. And that's why we got this other Sarah in the film. So, I mean, it makes sense. If you're going to date someone, chances are it's probably not going to work out, you know. But yeah, it is what it is. So.
Yeah, that's always interesting whenever there's like recasting, especially when like the hair is so different.
You know, generally it's not a big issue, but when you have a movie that literally starts where the last one ends, it's a little bit jarring. Because I completely had forgot when I was watching this like a week ago. I was like, what the fuck? And like instantly got on the computer and had to look at this. I'm like, why did they recast? And I'm like, oh shit went down. Okay. All right. So quick little synopsis. In the sequel, a couple must use a portal through time to defeat evil. Well,
yeah, it's kind of weird because it's not like none of this feels like time travel. It feels like movie travel.
Well, actually, that synopsis isn't really. I mean, I guess they're trying to defeat evil, but the point is. So, anyways, this movie opens up with the hand that was severed in the first film made its way out of the burning building, and of course, in the narrative in the first film, if anything makes it out of there, like evil is on Earth, and you don't want that because that's what's going to take over the Earth and eventually end mankind. So, anyways, this hand basically follows Sarah back to her house, where we get introduced to what her stepfather is played by Buck Flowers. Is that who the dad is in that? I think is that who her stepfather is? Yeah, George Buck Flower. Anyways, so we get this pretty comical scene where this hand follows her back and ultimately ends up killing her stepfather. So she goes on trial for the murder of her stepfather. And of course, Zach is like, no, she didn't fucking do it. It was the hand. And everyone's like, ha, ha, ha. It's not the hand. It couldn't be the hand. And so anyways, so she must be like out on probation. I don't know, whatever. So she hasn't been fully convicted. But anyways, they end up taking off and they figure out a way to go back into time through notes left from, what's his name? Sir... The dude from the dude from the first film. Anyways, he left like
Wilford, motherfucker.
Yeah, so he leaves like a video with a play-by-play, and they kind of figured out. Anyways, they end up going into time, into space, and stuff like that. And they're trying to figure out basically a way of proving that Sarah did not kill her stepfather. And so what happens is they get lost in time, and it's
more like universe travel.
It is like universe, right? There's actually a word for the world that they keep going into. See, the problem is there's no rhythmatic to it, so they don't really know. So once they walk through the porthole, they don't really know where they're going to go. And again, just like the first film, once you go into like a certain reality, you become those characters, and you have to like work yourself out of it and stuff like that. There's times where Zach's character, Mark, he can figure it out and he knows who he is, but Sarah sometimes gets lost in these realities and turns into these characters. He's got to convince her and stuff like that. So I saw that Tyler had mentioned that this movie feels like super fucking messy and stuff like that. Now there is kind of a way to like kind of, you know, explain that away, because it is messy, but it's also a movie that's dubbed Lost in Time. And what they're trying to do is figure out a way to get evidence to prove her innocence, but they have no way of controlling where they're going. So they're literally lost. That's why everything seems so out of place. And they, you know, every time they go into like a certain world, a certain story, they got to figure that out to get into the next one and stuff like that. So it's just kind of a way of like, again, doing an anthology film without really doing an anthology, but you're progressing the narrative a little bit by getting these pieces and stuff like that. But this one kind of, you know, it gets away from the whole universal aspect of it. And they kind of dive into a little bit of different type of films, which I think is really interesting. So, but yeah. What are you guys' thoughts on the movie?
Again, I think this is like even more satirical than the last one. And they're really satirizing these iconic movies such as Frankenstein and Alien and The Haunting and Dawn of the Dead. And I particularly really enjoy the Haunting one.
Yeah,
it's so goofy, but like, and I used to not like it, but like now it is really funny. Like Bruce can't like just the whole. It's obviously a little darker than like the Haunting of the whatever 1950s, but it's kind of like the fact that Bruce Campbell's whole ass rib cage is exposed and there's like a crow pecking on it, and then like he's like trying to explain to like the guy, you know, Zach Galligan's character, like what to do and stuff, and it like he just falls on his face and then gets shit thrown at him, and it's just, I don't know, it's funny, it's slapstick.
It is very slapstick, actually, and it makes sense that Bruce Campbell would be in that role too, because you know you can't really.
Army of Darkness came out the same year, bro.
Yeah, it's very, very ashy, comedic ash right there. It's stupid, it's fun, but yeah. So this one does a lot of different type of parodies, man. It does like, you know, Frankenstein. It goes into the Haunting.
Even the weird thing about the Haunting segment too is like it's almost like an homage to Evil Dead in a way too, like with some of the camera movements and stuff like that seems very Evil Dead.
But you see that in the first film though too, a little bit too. I think Evil Dead was so influential that it's kind of hard not to see that influence in these things. But you're right though, yeah, for sure. That you got the Haunting and Alien, which are kind of like back and forth. So what happens when they go into like this Frankenstein story, which is actually pretty cool. I think the Frankenstein monster reminds me of Radu from fucking Subspecies. He does. He kind of looks like Radu to me. But that one's kind of cool, man. It's got some decent gore. It's like, it is what it is. It's
I like the Alien one a lot too, because it feels like you're just started in the middle of like the third act of the Alien movie.
Right. So it's kind of cool. So like when they leave the Frankenstein one, they get separated, and you got Zach Galligan's character who ends up in like the Haunting parody, and then she ends up in Sarah ends up in the Alien one, and they kind of go back and forth. Like we got the Haunting, and it goes into the Alien, it goes back to the Haunting, it goes back to Alien. It's kind of cool how they do that. And I thought that was pretty interesting. It takes up a good portion of the film and stuff like that. There's some other parodies within the film. Like there's kind of a mash, which I feel like they kind of missed the mark on this a little bit. There's like this whole kind of medieval segment in the film, which is not a parody of anything. It's more of just like what they wrote into the movie. And I think that's what really bogs down this movie, because when
100%, dude, that's always been my, like, it's fun up until that. And then I start to tune out a little bit, and then I come back on board.
Well, what happens in this is like 40 minutes of the story that's not a parody, because we've been dealing with parodies and you're having so much fun. And then all of a sudden this is like an original part of the story, but it's not that interesting. It's basically about, you know, Sarah's character. She's the sister of this like evil sorcerer that's trying to overtake the King of England by using black magic and stuff. And they got to figure out this whole fucking thing. They got to stop this because, you know, you don't want the king to be overruled by some voodoo master and stuff like that. So, but you know, it's kind of cool. Like the guy that plays the evil brother or whatever, he's the guy from Die Hard. It's kind of cool. But anyways, yeah. So, like that one really kind of takes it out, and then finally, once something actually happens within that medieval story, it goes into the parody of Dawn of the Dead, which I wish was longer because it's actually really quite fun. Like it's literally the scene in Dawn of the Dead where they're like having the shootout and stuff like that, and then these characters, they stop. I'm like, who are these guys? They're badasses, and they're like battling all these zombies and shit like that. It's pretty cool. They get a hand out of that and stuff, and then it goes into like these really short vignettes, man, and like it. From Dawn of the Dead, it goes into like it does like a quick little Jack the Ripper for like 2 seconds. There's a Nosferatu one, which actually does it silent. It does like the whole silent music thing and stuff. It does like Godzilla. There's like a little quick Godzilla one, which I wish they had done more of the Godzilla. That would have been fucking awesome.
Yeah, it starts getting like really like fun and frantic at that part of the movie.
At that point, it felt like Stay Tuned. Have you ever seen Stay Tuned with John Ritter? Where he's like surfing through the TV and shit. Oh, that movie's fucking awesome, man. Actually, one of my favorite movies of all time. But like this part in the movie feels like Stay Tuned, which I believe came out around the same time, maybe a year prior. And it's where he gets zapped into his TV and he's like TV surfing. He's going, it's basically the same fucking thing. Like, but he's in like these real, it's awesome. It's totally awesome. But like that point in the film, I feel like that is what's happening because it keeps changing like so drastically and stuff. I think the best thing about the medieval story is like there's a quick little cameo from David Carradine in it. He kind of plays this like homeless beggar and stuff. It was kind of cool to see him in there. But
I totally didn't know I was muted. I said a bunch of things.
Oh, you fucking idiot.
Why the fuck would you mute your shit, man?
I don't know what I muted it for, and that's probably why I didn't put it back. I must have done it by accident or something. But I said something, and I was like, "Oh, okay." And then all of a sudden, oh yeah, I'm muted. Then I couldn't get it unmuted.
Right.
Jesus Christ.
Jeez.
What a mess.
That's fucking.
So what do you want to say anything?
First thing, the part where I was like, hold on a second, when the Jack the Ripper part, wasn't that Bruce Campbell as Jack the Ripper too?
Oh, I actually don't know. Was it? Because that's crazy.
I think it was. It made me laugh.
Oh, I never noticed if it was. That's fucking hilarious. I actually thought that JP might like certain elements of the medieval story a little bit more, because it comes down to like Sarabis, who is the evil sorcerer. He wants to marry his sister, which is Sarah.
Which is cool, but
that's the thing.
It just slows the movie down,
dude. It's so much. It fucking goes on. It's literally, I think I timed it. It's like 35 to 40 minutes of this story before they finally start their battle and then end up in Dawn of the Dead. And I'm like, what the fuck just happened?
Yeah, I like all the quick little drop-ins to a bunch of different movies. Those are, and you're only there for a minute. Those are fun, but all the other medieval shit just bogs the movie down for me, and it just had me waiting for oh my god.
Mm-hmm.
I remember checking the runtime and thinking okay, I gotta be wrapping this up, and there's 40 minutes left.
Yeah, well, that's my biggest complaint with this, is that the medieval segment goes on way too long. It's not that exciting. The story part is not great, and this movie ends up being 105 minutes or something like that. It just had no business. If they had cut down that to maybe 15 minutes, it would have been so much better. Would have tightened up this movie so much, and because it feels like they cheated us on, the Godzilla and the Nosferatu and the those ones were really fun. Jack the Ripper. I would have loved to spend more time with those little vignettes, and unfortunately we didn't. But yeah. So, but this one, as a whole movie though, man, it is it takes the tone of the first one and it just flips it right over. It goes the first one's a little bit goofy, but this one it
leans into the absurdity and goofiness of it way more.
Performances are completely over the top. There's physical comedy in here, the scene. JP,
this one feels way more fantasy than horror as well. Yeah,
of course. I mean, there was even a parody of Bruce Campbell being crucified, because of course he's on that cross, right? And there's this scene where he actually falls flat on his face when he's attached to this cross, and they have to wedge him back up, and it looks like Jesus Christ coming back. I was laughing at that. But that whole sequence is so stupid. He's when he falls on his chest and his whole rib cage is exposed, you got Marky comes over and he's picking shit out of his chest, and it's making these stupid fucking Looney Tunes sounds. It's bring. So stupid. But then it gets even worse, man. There's a scene where this fucking possessed character starts throwing shit at Mark, and every time he ducks, it hits him in the fucking face, right? He's just getting nailed with shit all over the place. And then there's the last thing that she throws is she picks up this big bag, and it's bag of salt, and it rips over at him, and of course he's open wounded, right? He's covered in salt.
It's so fucked up.
It's so fucking, and then he's oh my god, and then he's oh, I'll save you, and he grabs this big jug of water, and he throws it on him, and he's oh, and they turn the bottle over, and it's fucking vinegar. And at this point, I'm actually laughing out loud. I'm this is so fucking stupid, but it's fun because it's Bruce Campbell. I think it only works in this sense because Bruce Campbell was part of this scene. I think otherwise it would have been eye rolling, but we know Bruce Campbell is kind of being that character, right? So it kind of made sense. But all in all, man, I like the way they shot The Haunting. They did it black and white like they did Night of the Living Dead in the first film. I thought that was really cool. Actually, again, even the set designs in this film, I think are pretty good. Again, production value is there. I don't think they cheap out on what they did. Even the Dawn of the Dead scene kind of looks like the mall. It's kind of crazy. It really does. Even the outfits that the military guys are wearing, and kind of looks like Dawn of the Dead. It's pretty good. Nosferatu, his head was a little bit fatter and rounder. It was kind of comical, but I don't know if that was intentional, but yeah, man, I honestly, when they do the quick little Jack the Ripper, I'm I wanted more of that. And then Godzilla, I'm oh, we wanted more of that. But unfortunately, we just got way too much of the medieval stuff. But again, the core narrative of the movie is not bad. It's just them trying to prove Sarah's innocence and stuff like that. And there's not really a whole lot more to it. A little bit, they work on the narrative a little bit from the first film and stuff like that. But all in all, it's just kind of what it is. It's Waxwork 2 is a funny title because there's no waxwork. Like, it's literally lost in time. It's lost in time. But that's what I just wanted to say about that, Tyler, because you said this movie's like super messy, but I'm like, it's kind of meant to be, because they are literally lost in time. Once they go through that original porthole, it's just taking them into places where they don't fucking know. They even say that in the film too. Like, I don't know where we're going. Like, how do we get out of here? Like, where are we going? But we just need to find evidence to prove you. And
I kind of meant like it's a mess, and like they didn't really like, they had too many ideas that they tried to like jam into the movie, and it comes out a little incoherent, I think.
Well, I think the biggest fault is the medieval thing. Honestly, it takes you right out of the movie, because up to that point, everything's really exciting and fun and goofy, and like you're having a good time. And then when they get to the medieval ship, and like I said though too, it's not really a parody of anything.
Satirization. It's just a scene.
It's like they ran out of like parodies to do or something. They're like, well, we're going to write this in here, but we're going to throw a couple cool cameos in here.
Should have did like Beastmaster or something for that.
Yeah, I know. Like, you could probably do something from the medieval times. Like, there's movies that you could parody, but I don't know. It really takes me out of it. And it's unfortunate that's like 40 fucking minutes, like, at least, dude. And it's so uninteresting. Like, there's nothing happening, dude. You're just like, God damn, why? Mm-hmm. I think one of the funniest parts in the moment, like in the movie for me though, besides the Bruce Campbell shit, is when they do the parody of Godzilla, and he looks up at the camera, or he looks up and they do the really bad dub on purpose. And it's like, I can't remember what he says, but his mouth is moving. There's like nothing coming out, and then all of a sudden the line fucking makes me laugh. Bad dub. I mean, that was a good parody right there. It was pretty fun.
Yeah. Yeah, the actual attention to detail in terms of the actual parodies is pretty impressive, honestly. Like, they do a good job, like capturing like the alien feel, capturing the Godzilla feel, capturing the haunting feel, like, but obviously comedically.
In the early haunting film from the 60s, I can't remember, I haven't seen it in years, but there's a scene in this movie where, of course, it's all in black and white, but then you have like that whole kind of Stanley Kubrick Shining scene where, you know, the blood comes down the steps and it's just like crazy over the top and shit like that. Is there a scene like that in the original Haunting? Because in this, they actually colorize the blood in the black and white.
Probably is.
I can't remember.
I don't know. I've seen The Haunting twice, but I've honestly never been like the biggest fan of that movie.
But is there a scene where they all of a sudden like colorize blood? I want to say
I don't think so. No. I feel like I would remember that.
Yeah, okay, me too. Yeah, I kept thinking to myself going, so maybe they took The Haunting and they did a parody of The Shining with the blood coming down the steps. So that's probably what it is then, right? But I thought that would actually look really cool because the black and white scenes pop, man. They look really damn good. Even the costumes and stuff I thought looked really cool. But like that scene where the blood comes through it, I was like, oh shit, it's in color. That looks really cool. It like really fucking popped. The transfer on this movie was really good. Like actually both of the Vestron transfers on Waxwork I thought looked really good. Really,
they do. Yeah.
So,
and you got the fucking Lost in Time rap song at the end credits. How about that?
Yeah, and it was actually the first time watching it today again. That was the first time I actually listened to the whole song. I listened to the whole credits because I usually would listen to like a minute of it because I don't know he was like a studio rapper or something like that. I don't know.
I put that when I did my Vestron podcast episode on this set. I put that at the end.
That's awesome.
Yeah. But I love that there was an era, late 80s, early 90s, that had rap songs in the credits or whatever, like the Maniac Cop rap and this one. I think is there one on like Chud 2 or something? I can't remember, but like there's at least a dozen like rap songs created specifically for the horror movies.
Yeah, well, there was like, I know the Fat Boys did one for Nightmare on Elm Street too, right? Not the second movie, but they did a song like Freddy's, whatever it is.
Part 4, maybe?
Is it part 4? Yeah. And I know even Kool Moe Dee was on the soundtrack too and stuff. Like, yeah, so they were utilizing that because that's when rap music in general was starting to break out a little bit more mainstream too, was in the later 80s. So kind of made sense. But yeah, there was, I mean, even DJ Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince did a Freddy song.
The music video came out a few years ago for that was like never released.
Yeah, it's crazy. That is so wild.
Yeah.
But I really do think that they, going back to the Alien segment / the Haunting, because it kind of goes back and forth because they're in different realms. I really like that segment because I feel like they obviously took the design on the aliens. It just went completely over the top with it. But like the characters themselves, like how filthy mouth they are and shit. Like it just, I don't know. For some reason, it just feels like you're right in Alien. Like you know exactly what it is. And I think they capture that perfectly, man. It's really good.
Yeah, for sure. Let me think. Anything else? A little bit too long, obviously. I will say also that this is a movie that, like, when I first seen it, I did not like it. I was like, ugh, this is like such a step down. But over the years, like, when you kind of know what you're getting out of it, I think that it plays a little bit better, and you sort of really appreciate like the actual parody elements of the movie, which is like the coolest stuff in the movie. The medieval shit still grinds it to a halt, but outside of that, I think that the movie is like pretty fun, and I think that a lot of people I think most people the first time they see it aren't going to like it coming off of the first Waxwork, but I think it does like get better with time.
I feel like the one thing that would really help you out with these movies too is to have seen all the stuff that they're parodying. Again, when it comes to parodies, I think that's kind of a golden rule. Yeah. If you're watching a film and you don't really understand what they're doing the parodies of, it's not funny then, right? Generally. But or even entertaining, where, you know, if you've seen all these movies like, you know, Alien and The Haunting and Godzilla, and, you know, even know what Jack the Ripper is, like, you know, probably watching this movie in the early 90s for the first time, I remember not liking this movie either. But I mean, I had seen probably the majority of the stuff. Obviously, Dawn of the Dead, I got that right away, even Godzilla and stuff. But, you know, it works better, I think, when you become completely educated in what you're dealing with and what you're also seeing. You know, I think it really does help. Right. Like even the first film, like I said, like if you're unfamiliar with watching any of the Universal monster films, like you can take it for what it is, but it works better if you've seen them and understand the characters and, you know, like even the Frankenstein story and shit like that. So, but, you know, I think that's kind of a golden rule for these type of parody films for myself anyways. One thing I did notice in this film, like I really do like I mentioned, I love the soundtrack or the score for Waxwork. I think it's fantastic. Really good music. This movie fucking trips me out every time I watch it, because I don't know if you guys notice this, but when the score is playing, there's a couple notes within the middle of the melody or whatever you want to call it that sound like they're taken straight from Suspiria. It fucking, you can hear Suspiria. I was literally, it changes notes
that too, honestly.
Yeah, dude. Every time I watch this, I'm like, it's fucking, but it's not Suspiria, but I'm hearing a note or two in the middle of the melody or whatever the notes, I don't want to call it, but it fucking sounds like Suspiria to me, man. So I don't know if that's intentional as a parody of, you know, Goblin soundtrack.
It would be weird because there's like nothing in the movie that.
But maybe that's, you know, maybe that's just the angle they took. You know, they don't have to visually do Suspiria. They're doing, you know, it's like kind of sonically, and like, I don't know, man. It's trippy. It really does trip me out. So
this the first Waxwork also was infamously part of that 8-pack from Lionsgate back in the day.
Yep.
So you had Waxwork 1, you had 976 Evil 2, you had Ghoulies 3, The Unholy, Chud 2, Chopping Mall, Slaughter High, and Class of 1999. That was a very like big collector's item back then. Like everybody was like scrambling to Walmart trying to find these damn 8-packs, because at the time, like that was the only way to get Ghoulies 2 and 976 Evil 2, and I think Chud 2, honestly.
Well, still technically, 976 Evil still hasn't been released in Region 1 as a solo release. I mean, as we obviously know, it's coming to Blu-ray now, but I remember I did a video after that 8-pack came out, and I was kind of doing my own little parody on it. And everyone's like, because it was like all the rage, man. It was all the fucking rage. Everyone's going out there. And I decided to pick up all the movies solo. Like I had to import a lot of like Region 2 and stuff. And I made my own 8-pack and I put it on my poker table. And it was like this. It was
this stupid little
8. No, I made it with I handmade it. I drew it with Sharpie, but I made it like as a whole thing. And people are like, that's fucking funny. But I was just doing a parody. I was just having fun with that whole crazy.
Yeah, actually somebody sent me the 8-pack because I didn't own it and couldn't find it. Somebody on YouTube sent me a copy.
Yeah, I can't remember if I think maybe I went out and did my own because I couldn't find the 8-pack. I ended up getting it, but I had to think, I think the time that I did that video, I didn't have it. So I had to do the solo releases, but that was fun.
And then there was a 6-pack as well that had Blood Diner in it. That was the other notorious one.
Yeah, right. God, it seems like it's so fucking crazy, dude. Like I did a video yesterday, which
I saw it. I didn't watch it yet, but I was like, ooh, great topic.
Yeah, I was using like these fucking wireless mic. Man, the audio sucks in it. But anyways, it's still watchable. It's great. But it was funny because I know I had done a top 10 Tuesday video years ago about 10 films that didn't have a release. And I went back and watched it yesterday before I recorded. And 9 of the 10 movies on that list now have great releases. Like one of them was
9 of the 10.
9 of the 10 have releases. Like one of them was like Trick or Treat, you know, the 86 movie, and one was The Keep, and I think the only one might have been, oh no, Blood Beach wasn't on that one. But yeah, I was laughing. There was 9 of the 10 movies have got the releases now. I'm like, that's fucking awesome.
You love to see it, dude. You love to see it.
Dude. It was really
I've seen a few people post their list like that, where they're like, I made this list back in like 2006 of 15 movies I wanted to see on disc, and it's like 90% of them are on disc.
I've always used movie packs like that to reference to people, like what to try to like make people understand what vinegar syndrome is that doesn't know what it is. I always say, like, so they take like those like 8 packs, those like that you would see in a Walmart back in the day. They just buy lots of movies at bottom dollar for movies that would be in those packs, and then they just they restore it and make it like way better than anyone would ever think it would be, and put out saucy editions of those movies, but cost them nothing. It's movies that were just like, yeah, toss in this 8-pack. Maybe someone will buy it if there's 10 of these in here.
It was funny too, because like 2 or 3 of them actually just got released. Like I know The Keep and Trick or Treat, and there was another one too, and I was like, man, it took that long. Like this video was from 2014 or 15. Like it's old. It's fucking old, man. I know I did another one too, like physical copies. I know I did a DVD one too, but yeah, they're fun to do. I was just doing a response video to Matt, Junior Horror Movies. He'd made a video a few weeks back, and then Tom did a response, and I was like, you know what, fuck. And I like the idea of like the old YouTube, you know, like people doing video responses and stuff. It kind of felt like a communal thing again. And I was like, you know what, I'm going to jump in here, man. It's fucking fun because nobody really kind of jumps on these trains.
Are you picking stuff that's not on Blu-ray specifically, or like not on any?
Yeah. So and of course I explained this in the video, and people don't fucking listen. They're like, yeah, well, that movie has a German Blu-ray. And I'm like, I know it does, but this video is about Region 1 releases, because not everybody out there has a Region free player. So I live in Region 1. So this video is about people that need a release in Region 1.
Yeah. And I also don't want to spend $60 to import 976 Evil 2 from Germany.
So basically the point of the video was 10 movies that are stuck either on VHS or DVD that just, they need an upgrade. They need an upgrade to Blu-ray or 4K. And so I picked out 10 from the collection, and yeah. And I knew like 2 or 3 of them they have worldly Blu-rays, but what the point is for Region 1 collectors, because some people don't have Region free players, and they can't go out and buy that that Region 2 German Blu-ray. Fucking Germany has
some people just like don't want to pay the price what it's going to cost to import something either.
That's the main thing. It's like, to me, like I've been Region free for like 10 years, but I just don't buy imports because it's like I'm going to spend bare minimum $30 on one title, and then it's going to end up getting released here anyway. So
it depends.
I don't see the point.
Like I picked up a Region 2 Blu-ray a Storm Warning like last year sometime, and it was like £4. So it was like super fucking cheap.
It's just
like,
the thing with me with how I buy movies
why do you
now.
Don't speak in pounds.
Well, that's what they sell it in. I don't know.
Okay, but is that what you pay it in? Do you go and get pounds and then give them pounds? No, you pay in dollars.
Yeah, dude, you got to convert your shit over, and you got to pay in pounds, man. It's like,
no, you pay in dollars. It's converted to pounds.
I'm just fucking with you, man. Yeah, I don't know. Like plus the shipping back then was actually, well, not back then, a year ago. It wasn't too bad. It is what it is. Cheaper than Germany, man. So, but yeah, anyways, the point was Region 1 Blu-rays.
Yeah.
So Yeah, I think even Tommy, you've made the point in this video too. He's like, yeah, I know, like some of these movies have worldly Blu-rays and we're region free here, blah blah blah. But this is for the people in region 1 that aren't. So, but yeah, fun to do, man. I really kind of miss doing shit like that. Like it used to be a regular thing.
I know.
Like
I don't really do a lot of YouTube like I used to. Yeah,
like when we did the top 10 Tuesdays, like a bunch of people jumped in. There was all of a sudden it was like me, you, and Zach, and a few other people, and then all of a sudden it was like this person, there was like tons of people doing that shit. It was crazy. It was fun.
People
it was fun.
Do it when they're beefing now.
Well, I even briefly kind of dissed the whole Blue Tuber 4K cornballs that like. I'm so sick of watching videos where people won't even buy a movie because it's not on 4K. They won't even buy the Blu-rays. Like it's fucked. Like it's getting to the point where I'm like, you are so spoiled. You have no idea where we came from. Like this is crazy. It drives me nuts. It fucking drives me nuts.
I'm like so out of the loop on what goes on YouTube anymore.
I do. I watch, a fair amount. I watch mostly non-movie stuff, but I try to keep in touch with some.
Listen to like when I'm driving around and don't necessarily have to watch.
Yeah, there's a few people that I still watch. Like I watch Matt's videos and still the homies and stuff like that, like Tom's videos and stuff. But I do branch out and try to see what the other communities are doing and stuff. But like honestly, all these guys are just they're click whores. If a piece of news comes out, 5 minutes later they're doing a live stream and they got to get the clicks. And I'm like, fuck, I could care less about that shit, man. That's not why I do YouTube. I do it because it's fun. So. Just like this podcast. Do it because we want to do it. It's not a job, folks. It felt like it this week, but it's not a fucking job. No, it really didn't. Honestly, it was just tiring. I mean, I'm not complaining. It was just exhausting because I didn't underestimate the March Madness episode. I think you guys didn't think it was going to take as long, but I was like, there's no
I
fucking
still
way.
don't think it would have took that long to finish it up that night.
Yeah, it definitely took longer because we did it like
when we take a break,
we would have rushed it. We would have rushed it.
I don't know if we would have rushed it. I just think we wouldn't have spent as much time discussing it.
That's called rushing it.
No,
I don't like
not
doing
necessarily.
that. I don't like doing that. I think it worked out great. Honestly, 2 nights that it was perfectly put together, and I mean, I think it flowed well. Did you actually check out the little samples I threw in there and stuff?
I did.
It was kind of fun.
It was good.
It was just totally taken from March Madness, like NCAA fucking basketball shit and stuff. I'm like, yeah, but I didn't work too hard on it. I just wanted something in there. But yeah.
I watched fucking 3 Leprechaun movies during Sinbad as well.
Is that when you were posting? Because I saw that on your Letterboxd. I'm like, fuck, did you watch all these goddamn?
Well, I watched one on St. Patrick's Day, and then I started 2, and then when we did the Sinbin show, I started 2 over again and just watched 2, 3, and 4 while we were recording. Nice. Mainly when Tyler was reviewing his movies. Yeah, since I didn't watch them. But this next show, I will be.
Next show, right?
I guess we should probably rate.
Waxwork. Oh yeah.
All right. So JP, what do you give Waxwork Dukes?
I'm gonna go ahead and give it a 6 out of 10.
I'm at a 6.5 on it. I mean, honestly, if they cut the fucking medieval shit down 20 minutes, it would have been so much more enjoyable.
Yeah, maybe. It probably would have been like a 7 at that point.
I mean, this movie's 105. Like, it could have been easily 85 minutes and would have been great.
Yeah, I think around 85 minutes is probably the sweet spot for both these movies.
Yeah. So, Tyler, what do you give it?
Wasn't for me. 4.5.
Damn. Damn. Like, I give at least 2 points for killing fucking Buck Flowers with a fucking hammer.
Yeah, I gave it 2 points for that.
That's so goddamn goofy. Like the hammer's just fucking, it's just a hand with a hammer and he's fucking getting beat down. I'm like, what the fuck is this?
It was good for some laughs, but like when I'm sitting here for like looking at the runtime, like, oh my god, there's 40 minutes left of this thing.
Yeah, that's right around the time where you get to the medieval shit.
It is. It's exactly what happened. Well, yeah, it's not even 40 minutes. There's more than that actually, because there's still a little bit that plays out after and shit like that.
I just remember like looking like, oh, this is gotta be wrapping up. Like I didn't see how I assumed it was gonna be at like a little bit shorter than the first one because that just typically
that's what I expected, but it's actually longer.
Yeah, so I didn't even check the runtime and I just like went, okay, how long this is gonna be wrapping up, right? And and it was like about like 50 something minutes. I was like, Jesus Christ, dude.
Yeah.
But
Well,
yeah, I guess that's it.
That's Waxwork 2 from 1992. Might be mentioned again in a few months. Probably not.
Oh yeah.
Probably not.
Well, no, it'll get brought up on the show, but it won't be. I can't see this making anyone's list.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, who's actually I always ask this, but who's actually doing the show?
I have no idea, actually.
Like,
I know for sure Tony is. I think Dave said he was gonna, but I'm not
Tony's doing
sure.
59 also, so I think that's why I keep getting confused.
Just assume Tony's on every year at this point.
Yeah, I think Dave Z is like taking a step back from like podcasting, so I don't know if he'll actually be on.
No, he said that he's not going to record anymore with us because we record on Sundays, and he's in bed by 7.
I think that like something like this, like on a different day, might be an exception. So I wouldn't count him out necessarily for that. But what JP said, he seems to be taking a little bit of a step back. So
he's not even watching horror films anymore. He's like watching thrillers and fucking.
Yeah, because he's having fun with that. He's not in a rush to go back. But it's probably because he's been watching horror movies like on repeat for so long.
I just feel like
it feels nice to like. Yeah, I feel like Dave feels nice to watch something different.
I feel like I don't know. At this point, I just feel like he thinks it's like a job or something. I just can't get sick of watching horror films. So I mean, I do mix it up. Like I watched Black Gun last night, man. I was drinking beers and I was listening to tunes and I was like, fuck this. I'm gonna watch some blaxploitation right now. It's like 11:30 at night. And I'm like,
a big variety.
But that's like the thing with Dave Z though is like he like 95% of his diet of movies was horror films for like the last decade.
Yeah. I guess it's like me and Tyler, like we definitely mix it up with a little bit. I don't know, JP a little bit too. I guess
last year I watched 900 movies and about 40% of them were horror.
So whenever we take a break, that's when I'll start watching a lot of like non-horror stuff. And then also when we do like during the Christmas season, I'll watch a lot of like Christmas movies, but I'll start squeezing in a lot more like just movies I like Trespass and shit.
I do that too. Is it like in the summertime when we're not recording, man? Like I'll find myself like, especially this year, like I've just had a hanking to like just go through a lot of blaxploitation films. Like I've been reading the blaxploitation book, like the Bible on it, and I was just like, it was just getting me so stoked to rewatch a lot of these films and check out some of the films that I own that I haven't watched before. And just with the releases of like all these blaxploitations getting some love again. And I'm going to make a point of like just going back through and watching. So I'm sure my letterbox is just going to be littered with fucking Jim Brown and Pam Grier films and fucking, so it's going to be pretty awesome.
But yeah, so next week, or we will not be here. The week after, we will be coming back with another 1992-esque show. It will be the Category 3 Volume 2. Been quite a while since we've done that.
Right.
So we're going to do Dr. Lamb, The Cat, and what was the third one?
Naked Killer. Naked Killer.
Yep. So
which,
thank you from 92.
Thank you, Mr. Parker, for finding us a copy. I'm pretty sure it's the uncut version of it. It's funny, like Dave is so on top of shit. Like I'm like, Dave, when you get a minute, could you possibly try to locate a copy of Naked Killer? 5 minutes later, it's like in the chat. I'm like, what the fuck?
It's actually on YouTube too.
Yeah,
I think is that a cut version though on YouTube?
No, it's the uncut one. That's why I asked Dave what the runtime is.
Okay, well, whatever, that's fine. I mean, the one he sent me looked pretty damn good when I clicked on it. So,
I'm sure it's better than the YouTube version we have.
I didn't click on the YouTube.
It was a big file. Like I downloaded it and it was like 12 gigs. I was like, holy shit, what the fuck?
Yeah.
But anyways, I'm looking forward to doing that because, I've never seen The Cat. And I've been hearing
seen any of it.
I've been hearing good things.
You're gonna love The Cat. The Cat's awesome.
Yeah.
So we'll be back with that next in like 2 weeks. So enjoy a little break from us.
Yeah.
Catch up on some of the shows you missed.
Yeah, there's definitely an abundance. Actually, the Simbin episode will be coming out tonight, but
okay.
Well, when you hear this, it'll be like a week later. No, it'll be out like a week ago. So 5 days.
All right.
Yeah. So it'll be out Monday morning, whatever day that is. But anyways, I guess that's everything. We got.
Yep. That's all.
That's it, man. So that is definitely the shortest show we've had in a while. Well, I shouldn't say in a while, but like this week. Definitely.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we're out of here, guys. Check you next week in episode or 2 weeks with episode 290. So we're into the 290s. We're on the road to 300.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's crazy, man. Okay. All right, guys. Deuces.
Peace.
That's all, folks.